Hello, hello, everyone. So we are live. That is called a hard stop. I hope you weren't enjoying that video too much. So here we are. Here I am, Hans from Align. So some of you may know me, others may not. So what I usually do before a stream like this one, I want to check with everyone if audio, video, everything's working correctly. So just dropping a little comment in here to ask if audio, everything is looking good. So if anyone could just give me a little chat or a comment or a thumbs up or anything like that, then that way I will know that everything's looking good. And let me just actually tune into my own live stream as well on LinkedIn to see if everything is looking good there as well. So I'm excited. Cold email summit day one. So I will talk in just a minute a little bit about how this all came together, why we are at this cold email summit, which is basically a small idea that escalated, and it turned into a way bigger idea, and that's why we are all here today. So I will talk about that in just a second. So I do apologize for the delay that we had some issues with setting up YouTube Live, but always, when you start something like this, technical issues will always come into play. Let me just have a quick look at LinkedIn and see if anyone is commenting, because I cannot see that in my studio right here. Turns out I can only see the YouTube comments. This is a good time for me to test my banners. So day one is powered by us, by Line.ai. So for those of you who don't know Line, I very much encourage you to head over to Line.ai. I will talk a little bit about that as well later, who we are, what it is that we do. And then I very much as well encourage you to ask about our API. That is something that we've been working very hard on, that we're very proud of, and that we're actually releasing this month. We've been saying that for a while, but this time it's actually really true. So that's something that we're very excited about. Then some people mentioned that for them it's freezing on LinkedIn. So if that's the same issue for you, just drop a comment, because we're also live on YouTube. It's not working on LinkedIn. That is not good. So let me just, for everyone who is currently on LinkedIn, who are saying, hey, listen, it's not working, then you can head over to LinkedIn, or to YouTube right there. I'm not sure if that is a global issue, that is a local issue. So let me just get on that and send that to everyone. Let me see. So I'll just play the video again. I'll make sure that everyone has the link to the YouTube channel. Then we can get started on YouTube. So we will be back in just 1 second. All right, all right. So here we are again, people. I see that also Deepak now is joining us, so I'll add him to the stream in just a little bit. Unfortunately, we're not streaming to as many people as we would like because for some reason LinkedIn Live is not cooperating with us today, which is where most of our people were tuning in. But very happy to see some people were actually tuning into our YouTube channel. That's always good. YouTube is a bit of a favorite of mine. And then hopefully somewhere during the stream, LinkedIn Live will also pick back up again so that more people can join us. If you think that people on your team, anyone else might be interested in joining us as well, and they were planning on tuning into LinkedIn, then please share the YouTube video with them or the YouTube link with them. We also dropped the YouTube link on LinkedIn where most of the people are tuning in. So hopefully, they can still find it there. Either way, it's a small group, and the good news is that we'll also be doing a Q&A with all of our speakers. So that just means that you'll have even better access to all of our speakers, which will be my first talking point. So what I will do, I will talk a little bit about why we organized the Cold Email Summit. Well, to talk about cold email, of course, but how we got started. Then I'll talk a little bit about the speakers who you'll be hearing from today, including Deepak, but also includes Alex Berman and Tom, who will also be joining us from Ref Genius. So that's what we'll get into today. And again, for anyone who planned on watching on LinkedIn but now found us on YouTube, you're probably not the only one. So please share that YouTube link with anyone who you feel would also be interested in watching this, because LinkedIn Live is giving us some issues today. Hopefully just for the first little bit of today, and then later today or tomorrow, we can be live on LinkedIn as well. So what I will do, I will just share my screen with everyone who is watching, and we will talk about the summit. So you can see all these beautiful faces right here. These are some of the people who we'll be hearing from this week, because it's almost a week-long event. We'll be doing 4 days of live streaming every single morning. Eastern time, we'll be going live, and you can hear from some of the experts in the industry. So very first up is Deepak. He is the founder of Pearl Lemon. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Deepak because he's already in the studio with us, and he can do it himself pretty much. He can introduce himself formally, because I'm sure he does that way better than I ever could. But besides him, we'll also hear from Stefan Smulders, who is a Dutch guy just like me. He is the founder of Expandy.io. The Expandy.io team will be joining us as well, which is definitely exciting. They will talk about full funnel or multi-channel outreach. We will also hear from, for example, Will from Lavender. Will Allred. He is the 2021 LinkedIn top sales voice. So he definitely has some really great insights to share with us. And then there are other great speakers who will be hearing from throughout the days. I'll also have an event, so you'll be hearing even more from me, which is great news. Then later today, we'll have Tom Slocum as well. He's the program director at Ref Genius, who are a very great community for everyone who is serious about improving in sales, improving in cold email, cold outreach. We'll hear from Mitchell, who is one of the co-founders of Buzz.ai. We'll hear from the VP of Marketing of Mailshake, Alessandra. And in a little over an hour, Alex Berman will tune in as well. And he will talk about how to prospect in 2022. So for anyone who has missed it, this is more or less a schedule, but you can also find this at summit.line.ai. So I won't be reading this out to you, but just to give you an idea, at least for today, what we'll be talking about, we will be talking about finding the right companies. We'll do that with Deepak, who will be joining us in a few seconds. Then after that, Alex Berman will talk us through his process of finding prospects, because prospecting data is becoming easier than ever to get access to, and he will show you exactly how to get the best data in 2022. And then around 12:30, probably more around 12, Tom from Rev Genius, he will talk about his secret playbook, so what actually works when it comes to cold email in 2022. Then to talk a little bit about the structure that we'll be having during this session. So first, the speaker will be speaking, obviously, which will take about 45 minutes. And during that time, they'll obviously present, and you'll have questions potentially that might come up. So we'll definitely have a Q&A as well after each session where you can ask your questions. You can ask any questions you might have in the comments, etc. And that's how you can get access to the speakers. If you have any specific questions, just make sure you just drop them in the comments, or you ask them, and then we can ask those to the speakers, and they will happily answer that for you. So what I will do now, let me just add Deepak to the stream. Here we are, Deepak. You are live right now with your beautiful T-shirt. And yeah, welcome, Deepak. I'm not sure if could you just say hi,
Yeah,
just yourself, and
yeah,
just to make
of
sure that
course.
my audio is working.
Yeah, hello, hi. Can you hear me okay? I've
It
got
turns out
a
my
hands.
audio is not working. Can you hear me?
Yes, but maybe it's my audio. One second. Mike, can you
I
hear me?
cannot hear you, but maybe if someone else can actually hear you, if they can drop that in the comments, that would be great, because that way we'll know if it's working, if it isn't working. Could be just on my end.
Uh, but
Let me just mute and unmute you, because you can hear me, so that's good. That's always a good start. And let me see, I can
give me one
actually
second.
edit your mic settings from here, but that doesn't work. Stefan says that he can hear both, and so can Ignacio. They can hear both as well. So that could be just on my end. So I'll see how I can fix that after Deepak goes
How about
live.
now?
No, I cannot hear you, but the rest can hear you. So I'll just ignore that for now, and I'll ask you to
Okay.
get started, introduce yourself, and then as
Yeah,
you're
no worries.
talking, I'll work on fixing my audio issue. So
Okay,
just
no
really
problem.
quickly before we jump in, this is Deepak Shukla. He is one of our connections, and he runs Pearl Lemon Leads, or Pearl Lemon Group, I should say. And he'll be talking today about how to find the right companies, how to prospect for the right companies. So that's something that we're very excited about. So Deepak, you should be able to share your screen to do anything. If not, well, you
Yeah,
know where to find the private chat that we just talked in,
absolutely.
and there I can set up everything for you. So I'll stop talking, and I'll let you get to it.
Brilliant. Well, hello guys. Hopefully, I know that Ignacio, you said that you can hear me well. Stefan as well. So, if just say hi if you can hear me. I'll very quickly just explain who I am. My name's Deepak. I'll speak quite quickly because I know that a lot of you know what you're doing when it comes to lead generation, cold email, B2B lead generation. And yeah, I'm really here to talk to you today about how to really effectively identify companies to do business with, and also then how to look at specific search filters and just some interesting stuff around that. So, hey, Ignacio, guys, as you got questions, don't worry about what I'm presenting. Just ask questions. If you've got burning questions, do ask questions. Very quickly in an elevator. My name's Deepak. Google Pearl Lemon Leads. You can see it here. We're a 7-figure agency. I personally generated our first $250,000 through cold email, cold calling. I like to email and talk to people I don't know and try and get them to do things for me. So that's the fundamental nature of what cold email and cold linked, anything that's cold involves. So what I want to do is just really, first of all, talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I think are important to your strategy. So look, there are let's kind of go through it step by step. I think fundamentally it's important to recognize that many of you are here today because you want to generate more leads, right? Assuming that that's the end game, please do write yes. Now, some of you will want to generate leads for very specific subsets of people, okay? So a great example, what we do, by the way, at Pearl Lemon Leads is do B2B lead generation for clients all around the world. And we get some weird requests, okay? We get lots of different requests. So fundamentally, assuming you want to get leads, that's the end game. So the first thing to understand is the strategy behind what you're trying to do. Now, there's lots of tools, okay? You can Google top lead generation tools. Lynn is an example of a great lead generation tool. I'm sure Lynn provides you with other examples of tools. There's lots of tools that are out there, okay? The number one thing when it comes to identifying companies that you could potentially, for example, prospect to or ultimately reach out to is that you're not really ultimately what often happens a lot is that people don't think carefully enough about who the right person is, okay, to speak to within a business, and then they'll send out 5,000 cold emails to effectively the wrong people. Let me give you a practical example because that feels quite abstract, okay? We have a client right now that offers recruitment. Okay, so they offer outsourced teams. So that could be, for example, if you're an agency, we'll provide you a digital marketer, we'll provide you a software person, we'll provide you whatever. We can recruit in or outsource. Okay, they wanted to go after HR contacts. Okay, what we do before we, for example, start building a list of HR directors at Fortune 500 companies, right? You all are probably familiar with a platform such as LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so you know how to run the standard search. Okay, I can find company, and you know what? Let's just jump in and give you an example of what it is that I'm talking about. Now, my share system audio. No, let's do that. Now, I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm hoping that, let me just close that because it's super annoying. I'm hoping that people can effectively just see my screen, because I just want to go through what it is that I'm specifically talking about. I'm going to log into one of our accounts that we use for when we're just checking out LinkedIn Sales Navigator or just checking out searches. So I'm hoping that people can see my screen. So look, the fundamentals are that when it comes to lead generation, what you ultimately want to do, let's just say with the recruitment example, that, okay, what people typically do is you would, for example, look at function, okay, and then you look at human for human resources. You'll include that. Let's just say I want to go after UK-based businesses, so United Kingdom here. We'll include that. Now we want to go for seniority level. We want the important people, let's say. So we want directors, we want CXOs, and we want partners, and we want VPs, okay? That would be a good balance. Then we want to look at, for example, because we've got 90,000 results, which is already good. We've got 90,000 results. Naturally, you want to look at, depending upon what you're doing, second-degree connections for LinkedIn lead generation, or you've identified a list that you could potentially scrape some contact data from. So there's other things that you quickly want to do. But hold on. This is where people get it wrong, because I'm pretty confident you're following exactly what I'm talking about at the moment. But what if HR people are the wrong people? What you want to do is call 10 HR directors to find out if they're the ones who have the ultimate role or ultimate power when it comes to recruitment. Because, for example, if they're hiring for a software position, then the HR director is not going to understand React, Ruby on Rails, CSS. They're not going to understand those things. So therefore, the chief technology officer might be the person who suggests we have a need, who actually handles part of the recruitment process, and therefore is the initial contact you want to go after. Now, the only way you can find this out, and the way that we found this out, was by doing 10 phone calls to people from, for example, HR, and 10 phone calls to people from the strategy department or the relevant departments. And then we discovered some of the splits. So when I say some of the splits, it's fair to say that HR at some level will be involved, but depending upon the industry, and this is the interesting thing, it changes per industry. So if we go back to our example now, let me share my screen. If we go back to our example, okay, and we're looking at, give me a second. Yeah, cool. I'm hoping that you guys can see my screen. Yeah. So if we go back into here, then you might, depending upon the industry, have different ideas. So for example, in the internet industry, which is less than ideal, and we'll talk about other tools, okay? We'll talk about technology stacks and straightforward hacks, but to be honest with you, the key that people tend to get wrong with filtering companies and cool searches is that they get the strategy wrong up front, and then they produce data, because getting data is quite straightforward to do. There's lots of tools that do it. But look, if you go to internet and computer software, then in this industry, there's a good argument that it won't be the HR people that are hiring because of the technical nature of the industry, okay? And then you need to start thinking about, well, how does company size play a factor in it? Because if we're looking, for example, at the 51 to 200 level, then maybe at that level, it begins to change. So you wouldn't, at that level, you might not have human resources. Instead, because we're looking for a CTO, you'd look for function, information technology. And now we've got a completely different data set, okay? A completely different data set because we've got the CTOs to find out whether they're hiring. So the first key thing that I want you to recognize that you need to consider doing is actually call. Pick up the phone. Someone within your organization should call, because the qualitative data that you'll get will be so valuable before you just go ahead and email an industry. Now, of course, you guys can just email every industry, but a lot of it depends upon what you're trying to do. So for us, one of the big things is longevity. If you're a fly-by-night brand, if you're going to be here today and you might be a new brand, a new business, or you're gone tomorrow, then cold email who the hell you want, because you know, it doesn't, you're not looking for longevity, which means that you're happy or you're not averse to burning relationships. But if you're in the business of building relationships, then you need to think about stuff like that, because otherwise you're just going to pee people off and they're going to remember your name as being a bit of an annoying email person. So contrary to popular opinion, you can pee people off depending upon what it is that you're doing. Mostly you can get ignored, right? And you know, there's no harm in saying, well, you know, I'll email everybody, but it's much better to send tactical emails. Okay, it's much better to send tactical emails. So as we go back now to, you know, let's call it qualifications, or rather identifying appropriate companies, the best tool, and I say the best tool, there's a couple of tools within the market that are pretty powerful. So just very briefly, I know that there's a couple. Let's just see. Yep, I'm sharing. I believe I'm sharing screen. Please do let me know if you can see my screen. But stuff like Zoom Info is great. Now, Zoom Info costs £15,000 a year. We pay for it because we have a big need for data, but it is a really good data set. And I think they're a public company. But look at the size of their business. At 76 million. They are a public company. They've got the funds to invest in data. So looking at companies from an investment perspective is really important, because a lot of companies otherwise feed off the same data sets. Okay. So when I say I feed off the same data set, there's nothing wrong with that. But there is an argument that if companies don't have the revenue to support the actual research, then they're probably just piggybacking off other data, which is not a problem at all, but it's just something to be mindful of, because there are cheaper alternatives. You can already see them here. So if I zoom in, oh, am I able to zoom in? Give me a second, guys. Well, I've forgot. Oh, here we go. So we've got Cognism, you've got Apollo, and Lush is probably another one. Look, there's a bunch of tools that you can look at and investigate that do cool things. So I ironically, whilst we're talking about looking at tools that you can get different sets of data, like Zoom Info has got some fantastic filters. Cognism, Apollo have got some fantastic filters. They do include, but are not limited to, revenue, to company SIC code, to a load of things that you can use to filter, as well as, for example, technology stack. So Built With was a good example of something that we used to use before we found like Zoom Info. So what I want to reiterate is that it is relatively straightforward to find data, and you don't need to dig that much. Okay, you don't need to dig that much, because there are data sets out there. Now, there's cheap ways as well as expensive ways to do it. Let's say, and expensive comes with higher quality. Expensive is Zoom Info. If you want to go, let's say, cheaper, or I say cheaper, more cost effective, you know, it's a different version of like the same thing. But there's other platforms that are, you know, much more affordable, but it depends upon your need. Okay. So if you're, for example, calling the retail industry, then you can scrape off Google Maps, and there's plenty of Google Maps scrapers. You could, just for clarity, Google Maps scrapers, and you'll find a bunch of them. I think we use, and I'll tell you the ones we use, it's not a problem. But I'm just curious now, I've not Googled Google Maps scrapers in a while. Let's have a look at what comes up. I've got my cat meowing in the background. I'm curious. So yeah, Google Maps data scraper, free tier. What does this one do? Takes 6 minutes to sign up and start extracting. You've got Octopath, 5 best Google Maps crawlers. A good tool to use in general is TextAU. I think they had a, here we go. They had a AppSumo launch a while back. I think we picked up the AppSumo deal. But you know, look, they scrape. I mean, they integrate with all of these tools, and then you could Google all of these tools like Snov, VerifyB, TrueMail, and just look at, you know, their recipes, they call them. LinkedIn job details extractor, extract LinkedIn chat messages, LinkedIn connection remover. There's a load of LinkedIn stuff, but then you can use this to identify additional data when it comes to getting emails, etc. But we're talking about ultimately company. Oh, Cody, what's up, dude? I've just seen you there, man. What's up, sir? I don't know if you're still here, dude, but yeah, hopefully you're still here. Look, there's lots of data sets, but it's identifying the right contact person, and also being aware that, for example, you want to get direct dials. So if you're talking direct dials, we're talking people's cell phones, people's mobile numbers. Platforms that do that well are ZoomInfo. Platforms that do that well are Uplead. So the key thing is identifying who the right person is and sending them compelling content. Okay, compelling and compelling. Do not lead, or you can lead with the here's our amazing case study. But if you're emailing a sophisticated audience, then you need to adapt. You need to adapt your messaging and adapt the way that you message according to your market. So before I prepped for this webinar, I said to Hans, "Who's the audience?" Hans tells me they're relatively advanced. So I thought, okay, great. I'm going to talk to an advanced audience. So I'm not talking to you, for example, about the foundational concepts of what cold email looks like, or LinkedIn messaging, or cold call looks like. I'm not talking to you about, there's this tool and it scrapes data, and you can use that data and you can pass it into Lin AI to get, you know, handcrafted emails. There's obviously lots of things that you can do around that. And the reason I'm not talking about that is because I did hopefully take a little bit of time to know my audience, as I had a chat with Hans about it. And as a consequence, therefore, I talked to you about the most important thing when it comes to the utilization of data. And that's the key thing here. It's data utilization that's going to determine how you can qualify. So I'm talking loads and loads and loads. I don't know who, guys, if you have any questions at all, do let me know. But data utilization is really the biggest thing. So think about who you're speaking to, call them to sense check. Okay, call them to sense check. You can learn so much in 4 or 5 phone calls, just having a chat, even if you want to frame it as data, as market research. Okay, even if you want to frame it as market research, and then based upon the call recordings, the language that you hear, the tonality and the manner, you'll get a sense of what decision makers in that niche look like, which then feeds into, is that person, of course, as well as, do they have the budget, do they have the decision making power? So a good example is that people say, right, you know, let's go after procurement. And procurement are, you know, the buying houses within companies, but they're not always the ones that are making the buying decisions. They have the final due diligence check, but it's often the team. Sometimes it is procurement directly. The only way you find out these things is when you ring. So the biggest disruptor to qualifying companies and qualifying people within companies, and you can find their phone numbers and their emails if you're thinking, Deepak, give me the goods. I'll repeat: ZoomInfo, Uplead, Cognism, Google, ZoomInfo alternatives, Cognism alternatives, Uplead alternatives, Lusher alternatives, and you'll find many, many more tools. It's data utilization that's the most important thing. And one of the key disruptors is calling. That's a big, big key disruptor. Okay. The other key disruptor is the way that I demonstrated to you why I lean upon, for example, ZoomInfo. They had $476 million in revenue. That told me that they are a company that's going to be around for a while, and that maybe I should align with when it comes to where I should find my data from, because they're going to continue to improve over time. So that's also something that you want to consider when you're looking at your target market. And there's obviously clear proxies that you can look at. So a couple of other things that I think become important when you are doing outreach, and we'll just go back to the LinkedIn example. Hans was also saying, show some, you know, let's say cool searches or whatnot. But look, so let's continue with this example. Then here, the other things to consider are we've got a list of 1,500 for UK internet computer software, function, IT technology. What else? Oh, so this was IT people within. So then, for example, what if you've got, so for me, example, I'm a runner. Can I find anyone who has the keyword runner? Yes, I can. So now you can combine your actual outreach with personalized outreach in terms of having a shared interest, like runner as an example. So then if I show you, give me an example of something that I've written. Scuba diver. Here we go. This was 10th of April. So I'm sharing with you guys a cold email sequence. Bear with me. Where the hell have it gone? Here it is. So here we go. So I've used this type of search string query. So look at it again: headcount, geography, industry, keyword. I didn't use runner. I used scuba diver because I'm a PADI rescue diver. And this is what I said to him. Look, hey Lazia, stumbled upon your profile on LinkedIn. Couldn't help notice you're a scuba diver. Hopefully I'm not barking up the wrong tree. You've taken an ocean dive or two in your time. I still remember when about PADI open water course in Thailand. Got the fright of my life and a stew cucumber shit in my hands. Ha 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 ha. So this is what I've written. This is the second one. When was your last dive? And this is what he's written. Your cold emails are very clever and obviously take the time to learn about your prospects. I'm an advanced scuba diver and missed it greatly. Because of COVID, it's been too long. Honestly, I doubt I could afford your UK rates, to be honest. Canadian dollar, you know? And this is, what does this dude do? I don't, it would have fulfilled the initial criteria. It's not in his email signature. That's not a problem at all. They're a design agency based in Canada. We're probably going to offer them lead generation. Let's just have a look at their, she's single owner maybe. So that would have been one of the filters that potentially fell through. But you take my point, guys, with what it is that we're doing here. So I'd say that combining data sets is going to be important, and there's other ways that you can spin it. So keywords in terms of people's personal interests, and also you can look at technology stacks that people use. There's different ways you can do that. Zoom Info does that quite well. Built with can also do it. So there's a range of ways to qualify companies and to qualify prospects. The best way to qualify prospects is to just call a couple of people, get the qualitative data, as we said. But you can combine that with identifying the strings of companies, and it really depends upon how specialist or specific your data set needs to be or data set is, because the more specific it needs to be, then the more reliant you're going to be upon a tool and the less wiggle room you've got to run experiments. So experiments tend to narrow based upon the available data that you have. Now, if you're an agency owner and you're going to you can target anybody, then you can run as many experiments as you like. It gets interesting when you can't run as many experiments as you like, and therefore you need to really, really nail in on a couple of things that you think could work. And that's where the tools come massively in handy. And I think that I'm gonna check if my my Uplead logins are still working, because yeah, they are. So hold on. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm in. I'll just go quickly share with you some stuff that relates to Uplead. So Uplead, I'll go in and you can export data from here, and look, they've got criteria, they've got revenue, they've got employees, they've got technology. Currently using one of the following, and you can add a technology to the list. But if we look for example, Shopify, have a look at what they do. So I just wanted to, I'm not going to spend too long on this, because to be honest with you, there's lots of tools that do similar type of things. Look at that, Shopify. Look at that, Magento. Java. I'm just going to put Java to see what comes up. Look at that. Azure. Azure. Look at that. So you can, the technology stacks galore here. Funding is another one. Companies that have raised over, and Crunchbase does this, Uplead does this, ZoomInfo does this. So really, it's about what you can do in terms of combining different data sets to build a really targeted email in combination with using Lin, right? Because you've got the personalization bit, that can be pulled from LinkedIn or the company website, and probably, you know, a bunch of other places that Hans I'm sure has already told you about. But combine that with some of those fundamentals, technology, revenue, LinkedIn shares when someone was lost, you know, when they've just moved into a job. So maybe they're getting rid of the old, bringing in the new, got a point to prove, want to make some new hires or new agencies to bring on. Elements like that are your opportunity. And that's where you can truly differentiate. So again, just to remind you, it's not about data, it's about data utilization. And that comes from strategic thinking. And across any campaign, you should be calling the first couple of people if you want longevity. Otherwise, you've seen a little bit of Uplead, you've seen a little bit of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you've got a whole range of tools to repeat: Zoom Info, Lusher, Cognism, Apollo. Google all the alternatives. You'll find a whole range of tools. Google Map scrapers, you'll find a whole range of tools. TextAU is another good tool, and you can get a lot of data. And it's just how you powerfully use that data, such as using the LinkedIn keyword search and the technology and other filter stacks to put together targeted data sets in combination with good copy, which Lynn can help you with, as well as some of the manual stuff you want to write where you want to write it, and then start really targeting people in an effective manner, as well as calling them. What if I called that lady, Lucia, who was scuba diving? I cold called her. Imagine cold calling. I know we're here to talk about cold email, but combine cold calling with cold email with cold calling, and calling someone who you've cold emailed about scuba diving, and you could just have such huge success with it. So there you have it, guys. I'm a bit short of the time, but I welcome any potential questions that are from anybody, if any.
Yeah, thanks for that, Deepak. We very much enjoyed that, and I did fix my audio issues in the end.
Ah, brilliant.
Could hear that lovely accent of yours.
Oh yeah, thank you. I try.
And learned a new story about sea cucumbers sitting in your hand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They look like cucumbers, and I picked one up and it excreted it, and it was like it was excrement basically. So I was
Right.
like, what is this? And I find, look, a big takeaway there is the biggest thing that people connect with is like humor, and like no one. This is the big thing. Like you can read a lot of HubSpot stuff and this and that. If you're just like amusing, or which is why I like John Buchanan Charm Offensive in combination with like use the Lynn stuff, and then say something that's unique and personal, and people will land upon that, and they can use that really effectively. Everyone's doing the same thing. Look at this case study. We've worked with Revlon. We're amazing. We were founded in 1991, and we've got, so everyone does the same thing. Who there is saying, yo dude, a sea cucumber shitted in my hand, and I thought that, you know, you're a scuba diver. So like stuff like that, like in combination with the other stuff. It's not that you shouldn't do the other stuff. Of course you should do it. But you know, it's that whole thing about being remarkable. You know, the Seth Godin, the purple cow, and being different. And everyone has something that no one else can compete on. And it isn't your company credentials. It's never your company, unless of course you have truly unique technology, and or you're not talking to a discerning business owner. You know, if so I think that with the identifying of companies, it's about looking at how is it that you can use means to connect. So I know that, sorry, I'm going to be quiet now.
Yeah, that's all good. No, because I had a couple of questions, but I see some other questions as well popping up on YouTube. So let's get to those first.
Yeah.
And then if we still have time, because I also see that Alex is already joining us, then I might get to some diving stories.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's get to Ignacio. So he asked, what will be your approach when you're offering a new service and you're still building out case studies? How would you go about outreaching and offering your service in exchange for case studies? So that's a two-part question. I think that first part is very interesting. So maybe we can put a bit of a spin on that so we can answer Ignacio's question, but we can also ask you, like, because you mentioned I run Pearl Lemon, we're a 7-figure agency. Imagine you had to start again from scratch, today, tomorrow. How would you do it?
Okay, so it's a really great question, and this is the big misnomer. Most business owners don't look at your case studies, dude. I don't look at anyone's case studies. I judge the quality of the email as a reflection. So the email is the case study. if you write a good email, people make a lot of assumptions about your quality as a professional. So you can write good email in absence of case studies. So what do I mean by that? From a structural perspective, no grammar issues unless you're intentionally using slang and you're intentionally using contracted language like sup, bro, if it's that kind of market, right? That's not misspelling. That's a very particular kind of email. And then if you have something interesting to say, which can be both comedy or something that's like new or refreshing, people respond to that. So I wouldn't worry about not having case studies. I would say that your time is still chargeable and you need to value or reference. And then so we're conflating two things. So what I mean by that is that you're thinking about, oh, well, what am I going to say when I have the sales conversation with him if I don't have case studies? Because you don't need to add that into the cold email, but you need to talk about that when you go into the sales conversation, or you need to be able to respond to that when someone emails you. So number one, if you write great email, then many of the emails that we sent out don't have any reference to the company. You know, we've landed £50,000 contracts when we say, hey, you know, I'm Deepak. I'm a really half decent marathon runner. In fact, in my last triathlon, triathlete. In my last triathlete, I actually had to get someone to specially attend me because I was so far lost and I was like so unaware of what was going on. I turned up to the swim event just in my swimming trunks and I was wondering why everyone else was wearing swimsuits. And then I discovered. So that got me way more opens because people just thought, oh, wow. So what's important? Make fun of yourself, bro. Make fun of yourself, and people find that refreshing. So I'd say that don't worry about case studies. I'd say that think about humor and comedy as well as like making fun of yourself, because that's very attractive. And a big thing is that you can learn a lot from reading read the game and dating. And there's a big parallel between this and those concepts about negging and AFC. Like it's really interesting. I'm in a relationship. I read this book quite 10, but it's really interesting to see the parallels.
We won't tell anyone, don't worry.
People want charisma. People want like imagination. And that's what we look for rather than a case study, because many discerning business owners don't trust case studies anymore. I don't trust case studies anymore. So I would say that that's the bigger thing, and then case studies come after.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, that's great. Very much appreciate that. And then we have another question from that Duda. They're asking how to get data for each prospect when you are going after a large enterprise account. So is it something you have experience with, Deepak, or do you have any pointers on that one?
Yeah, so Devduta, thank you, by the way, awesome session, appreciate it, dude. So if you mean like getting lots of like information about the company or the people within the company, man, it's literally what I said. I hope I didn't upset Hans too much because I didn't go into loads of detail about each tool. Dude, there's loads of tools. There's loads of tools. It's your critical thinking. So how do you get data for each prospect? I'll give you okay. So number one, to answer your question directly, you can use ZoomInfo or Apollo or Uplead, and Hans will give you 10 other tools that I'm sure you could use that I'm not aware of. Okay,
I have a pretty big list.
Exactly. He's got a big list, guys. You've all got access to the same list, but you all want leads. What is it that you do? Now we've got a client who, and this is where you can differentiate. Like, I believe that cold calling in combination with cold emailing with cold calling is a big thing. Having someone within your organization that can do that. I just cold called. We've got a client that we do reputation management for. Another side of our business is SEO. We've got a client that's got a really bad court case going on that's on page 1 of Google. What did I do? I cold called the head of content to charm them for 4 or 5 minutes. And then he told me who the right person is that can get that link removed from their website. And they spent over $1 million in lawyers right now, but no one's ever bloody tried to just cold call the newspaper to find out who's the right person to see if we can get a link removed. So now I've got a conversation I'm going to set up with them. So the best way to get the best data, depending upon what you're trying to do, is to combine cold email with cold calls. Do not, if you've got a really high ticket enterprise account that you can make $1 million from, just cold email them, because you need to find out who the right person is. So I would say that if you're going after large enterprise accounts and there's a finite amount of them, then you want to ensure that you're really verifying the data. And it's not the data, i.e., this is my CSV export. You got to sense check the data and find out who's relevant that you should email, because otherwise you piss off the wrong people. And if you piss off the people at Disney, there's only one Disney dude. You can't really go after them again. So please use the data that you have with care. That's the other thing that I would urge.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that comes with, and Alex, we'll talk about that after we're finished here, because with data being that easy to access, it's pretty easy to not treat it as the goal that it is, right? To just say, hey, you know what, I can get 10K more leads. Let's just blast out this email and see what happens. But your total addressable market is not infinite for for pretty much anyone, obviously, and especially if you're going after the enterprise, then then you got to be a bit more careful with all that. So to get data, I mean, Zoom Info, Apollo, those are great for just background data. The good thing about those tools is they gather data from multiple sources, so they integrate with other tools that you might be using. And what Deepak mentioned as well is that they actually have the funds to do all the research for you, and they centralize it for you. So that's great. So that makes your Zoom Info, Apollos, makes them great for skipping the research part. Actually, Apollo just raised their Series C, I think, which was another cool 30 million. I don't know. I don't remember the exact amount. So that's a decent amount to do some research, I would say. Those were the questions that the people had. Those are the questions that I had. And I gotta echo what they said, and it was an awesome session. Deepak, you clearly put your best foot forward, and you put your research into that one, your preparation into that one. So I very much appreciate that. Then next up is Alex Berman. Then if anyone has any questions for you, Deepak, if anyone has questions about working with you or Pearl Lemon, you already mentioned you guys offer SEO, you offer lead generation. What is it that you offer? How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. Great question, guys. Pearllemon.com, there's a chat bot. I get a summary each week of people that are chatting. Just mention, of course, that you're at this webinar, and I'll make sure that I look at the messaging that comes in today. So just head over to Pearl Lemon or Pearl Lemon Leads. We've got a chat bot. All come to us, and we offer lead generation, SEO, and reputation management services. I guess hopefully a differentiator of us is what you've seen today. So look, I'd love to talk to anybody. Hans, I want to thank you, man, for bringing me on. I really appreciate it, man. It's good to talk to the audience, and thank you for the questions, guys. I really appreciate it.
You got it. All right. Now, thanks. And what I'll do is I'll kick you out right now, and then that is your cue, and then it's time for Alex to join us. So let me just thanks again, Deepak. Have a good one, and then we will be in touch. So here goes Deepak, and then it's time for stream number 2 that we'll be doing today. So we will be joined by Alex Berman. I don't think Alex needs an introduction, but I'll still have him introduce himself. And Alex, he will talk about finding the right prospects. So very recently, Alex started Lead Shark, so he will talk about that as well. We have a special offer, which I will actually show you right now. Here we go. That is a special offer that you can grab for Lead Shark. He will talk about that as well. And for any questions, you guys know where to drop those. So Alex, let me just add you to the stream. You are live right now. There we are. So thanks for joining us. It's very great to have you. Thanks for coming a little bit early, because we were running early. It's always tricky to set a schedule with these events. The audience might be a little bit smaller than what you are used to presenting to. But that's because we were or are having some technical issues with our LinkedIn Live. But we have an engaged audience, so that is great. And for anyone who's wondering, yes, we are recording this, so we can also send out the recording to everyone. And I'll stop talking. And Alex, if you wouldn't mind saying hi to everyone, introducing yourself, then we can get started.
Sure. Yeah. How you guys doing? Let me know. Let me know down in the chat. Engage a little bit. Is it the comments section? That's what I can see.
Yeah, that's the comments.
Engage in the comments. Let me know where you're coming in from. Would love to know.
Exactly. So I do think that only YouTube comments are currently working. That's because LinkedIn Live, there's a delay, or it's freezing. I'm not sure.
Is there a link that I can look at for the comments?
So on your right hand side, you should be seeing like comments, banners, brand, and private chat. So the private chat, that is us, and then the comments, they should be coming in live here. or then on my LinkedIn profile. And actually, let me drop that in here. So that is this.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Okay. Great. So
There we go.
yeah, Deb Dutta, Ignacio, let me know down here. Let's talk. Let's hang. So what I wanted to talk about is lead generation in 2022. If you guys don't know me, I am they call me the cold email king. Basically, I used to run a startup in 2016, 2017. That was one of the largest cold email startups in the industry. We were worth about $110 million, and we got that valuation in about under 12 months, like 9 months. And then the whole thing came crashing down. So I used to run that one. I was CMO over there. And now I run X27, which is a cold email agency. And then like Hans was saying, I run LeadShark, which is a lead generation database providing the leads you need. And I wanted to talk today about lead generation. And I'm actually glad, Hans, I'm glad, bro. I'm really glad you brought me in early, because all I was doing was staring at the Twitter price, and like I was winning a little bit today. I put $10,000 into Twitter about an hour ago, and like I was winning, dude. And now it's like slamming down to the ground. So I'm glad to close that out. And now we're gonna be here in the conference.
So I saved you from that one.
Yeah, exactly. It was good for a bit.
Yeah,
right.
maybe you can send Elon Musk a check, or what do you can send in the US? Here it's called Visum. I think in the US can send like a Cash App request or something like that.
No, it's fine. I think it's gonna go all the way up. All right,
Yeah.
Ignacio, what's up, dude? Here from Uruguay. Very cool. So what I wanted to talk about today is a couple things. One is how to generate leads in 2022. And that's actually the main thing I wanted to talk about. So I went out there and I actually tweeted a little while ago, like yesterday or something. Let's see where that is. There. So I tweeted, I was doing a lead giveaway, which is giving away 1,000 B2B leads. What industry and targeting do you want? And in order to enter, you had to tell me what leads you guys were looking for. So I have now gathered this, and I took this list and I put it over here. So now we have a list of the most common types of leads that people are looking for: e-commerce brands, agency owners, course creators, medical, B2B, real estate. So I thought it'd be cool if I could show you basically how to generate these leads. We'll go through the best tools for finding each one of these, and just step by step, how does lead gen actually work? Let's show some real examples. Is that something you guys want to talk about? Let me know. All right, so let's start with, but before I get into that, let's talk about the special offer. So right now, we are doing a special offer just for people that are coming to the Line Summit. We love Line. Line's a great partner of ours. So normally, in order to get access on LeadShark, the leads are about 50 cents each. So we're doing a special offer where you can get access to 400 leads, which is enough for 2 full cold email campaigns. You can do that for $9 by going to go.leadshark.com/line. And if you go to this, you can get this perfect offer. This is a temporary offer that'll only last during the Line Summit, and then we're going to pull this down, and you won't see this offer ever again. Let me quit out of Slack. So if you want these leads, 400 leads for $9, go to go.leadshark.com/line, and you can check that out. Now, with that being said, what are the best ways to generate leads? Well, there's a few ways. Let's start with e-commerce brands. The first way that I like to generate leads is via Upwork, and I'll show you the exact Upwork pages that we use to generate leads here. So typically what I'll do is I'll write lead generator needed, and then I'll write the niche. So for instance, if it's e-commerce brands, I'll put that in right here. And then I'll go to next. Then for skills, it's going to automatically be filled out. I don't know if you've used Upwork. It's a very common thing. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend it. I'll typically just go to worldwide. And then the project budget, you can actually get very cheap leads on Upwork, cheaper than most other tools, including cheaper than LeadShark. Basically, I'll do $40 for around 1,000 leads, typically. I like Upwork for a few reasons, and this is why it's my number one choice here. I like Upwork because it allows you to tap into these lead generators that already have experience working with tools like ZoomInfo. They already have experience working with these major databases, and they get to tap into this stuff for free. They might be LeadShark customers, right? They might be ZoomInfo customers, but because you're tapping in directly, you don't have to deal with any tools. So here's what I would write. I would say looking for, let's say, 1,000 leads with the following criteria. and then you'd put in your criteria here. So we are looking for e-commerce brands. E-commerce brands in the US. And you would actually, here's how I would phrase it actually. CEOs of e-commerce brands in the US with between, 50 and 2,000 employees. Okay, that's what I'd do this, and I would put this phrase here: must deliver validated emails, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. Must include name, LinkedIn link. Yeah, LinkedIn link's fine if we're going to use Line or something to generate the leads. Email address, and then I would just put website here, and maybe job title, but it doesn't actually matter because we have CEOs here, but I'll put the title. And that is your job post. Then go on down, post your job now, and let it go out into the world. Next thing I do, and I'm going through this Upwork process step by step, by the way. So let me know if you have any questions as they come up, because most of this presentation I feel like is going to be just an open Q&A. That's what I'm assuming anyway. So the next step is once you've posted the job post on Upwork, typically I'll go through and I will invite as many people as possible. You can see the hourly rates are low. They're in India, which is nice. Bangladesh, which is perfect. You typically don't want to be inviting people from the United States or people with hourly rates above 10 because of the leads. Here's another warning sign here. So this guy is associated with RS Zone IT, which is an agency. And we don't want to work with agencies because he's getting paid $5 an hour, but really the agency's probably paying him, $200 a month or something like that. That's what I've seen. Maybe a little more, maybe $300 or $400 a month. So you don't want this. You really just want the direct people here. So I'll go through and I'll invite as many people as possible. Now, what you'll start seeing, if we just wait a second, as we go through, you'll see some people come in. And while we're waiting for these people, let me invite a few more. Oh, not the agency guy. While we're waiting for a few more, I can go through some of these other lead criteria. Also, let me know down in the chat, what's your business and what leads do you need? What sort of companies are you working with? Who's your target audience? And what would be your ideal when it comes to lead generation? We're all sending cold emails here. This is the Cold Email Summit. We've sent millions of cold emails. What are you looking for? What sort of leads are you looking for? And we can talk in the chat right here. So there we go. So we invited a few people. If this was me doing this actual work, I would invite more than I just invited. You can see I have 21 invites. You could invite a lot more. And then the proposals will start coming in and we'll be good to go. So in the meantime, let's talk about how to generate leads for some of these other niches. Okay. So Upwork actually will cover, I'll just make these green. Upwork will cover e-commerce brands pretty easily. And you can actually even niche down further and you could say Shopify owners and you can go by people who use Shopify. DTC is kind of the same. E-com is kind of the same. This is all one thing. And I'm going to mark it green. Green means Upwork, all right? Upwork equals green. And maybe I'll share this. I'll share this doc as a free download as well. Let's see if Div's awake. Maybe I can have him set this up. But I'll share this doc as a free download as well. Let me see if Div is awake. Where you at, Div? Hey. You awake? And you set that up as a lead page. There we go. All right. So green's going to be Upwork. And agency owners, you could pull on Upwork or you could use something like LeadShark, which LeadShark's another database where basically you would go by industry and you would type software or you would type design, graphic design even, and you could look that way. Job title would be, let's say we're going after CEO. Lead location would be something like United States. And number of employees. Typically, I'm targeting when you're going for lead gen, and I'll talk about the other parts of this. I gotta quit Slack again, or it's gonna destroy me. I'll talk about the other parts of how we're picking these employees as well. So typically, this is what I call the golden geese companies. So companies between 51 and 5,000 employees, typically, maybe even a little less. 51 and 1,000 employees. These are companies that have the budgets of giant brands. So you got 51 to 1,000 employees, you've got a multi-million-dollar budget, no problem. But they have the decision-making ability of a smaller brand. So for instance, if you're selling to a company that only has, let's say 300 employees, the odds that you're going to have to get board approval and like go through all this stuff are a lot lower than if you're selling to a 5,000 person company, especially somebody that's public. So this is typically what I'll pick, the golden geese, and we'll hit search. And now the shark is swimming through the water, digging to find, we have 1,867 leads that match this criteria. And then this week for Lead Shark specifically, next couple of weeks, we're adding more. But right now, all you do is just click that, click download. I could either download the entire lead list directly, or I could just grab the first 100. One other thing I like about Lead Shark is the feature that'll clean up the list. So basically, it'll scan the company names, it'll pull out LLC, it'll pull out Inc. So it makes things cold email ready. And then I'll download the list as Excel, and it'll go. As soon as it's done processing, it will go right into my inbox. Now, what's happening right now is the leads. That error was because I clicked the button 3 or 4 times in a row. But here you can see as the leads are loading, beautiful sheet filled with the exact target criteria that we want, courtesy of Lead Shark. So that's why I built this database for this kind of thing. If you notice, it took a second to download the leads. And the reason why is because it was processing them, basically what's called real-time email verification. Now, when you're generating leads, especially on Upwork and other platforms, this is very important for you to do. So what we use, not in Lead Shark, we have a built-in thing, but what we use for our cold emails is a company called Never Bounce for email verification. And what this allows you to do is you can upload a list of leads to this, and it'll tell you what the bounce rate is on the leads. And the reason why you want a low bounce rate with your leads is the lower the bounce rate is, the lower chance you're going to get marked as spam. The higher the bounce rate is, it's one key flag for losing deliverability and getting marked as spam. And once you get marked as spam, you'll lose your domain. And once you lose your domain, it's gone. So I would prefer not to get marked as spam. It's it's always a hassle to spin up another domain, spin up another alias, reset all the campaigns and the sending tools, all that. Nobody really wants that. So I would use a tool like Never Bounce for your Upwork leads, or use a leads generating tool like Lead Shark that has real-time email verification. That way, we know these leads aren't going to bounce. By the way, keep hitting me with questions as we're coming in. Not seeing enough activity. Oh, come on into the to the chat, folks. I see we do have more people watching than before, which is very good. Very, very good. I was scheduled to be on in about 10 minutes, so maybe if we wait like 10 minutes also. So this is the criteria. This is what I put in. You can see some people are already getting back. So what'll happen is once these people get back to you on Upwork, what I will typically do, or what I always do really, is I say, hi, can you deliver 5 sample leads that match the target criteria? And I do this to everyone that messages. And we don't have a lot here, so I can show you the last one we did. I just did this like a day ago. So I can just show you the last one that I've already prepared for you in advance. It's like a Food Network show. I already had this baked. Which one? Okay, for Twitter handles, I did this because for our product hunt launch, my co-founder's account got banned because of the list these guys built, but that was my fault, not the lead generator's fault. So here we go. We posted this up, same exact sort of thing, except we were looking for 800 leads from Upvote Bell for product hunt voters, basically people that would vote us on product hunt. We just hit number 2, by the way. This was a small part of the project. So we invited these freelancers, and you can see here, this guy, Muhammad Usman, was one of the guys that we hired. And the reason why is because he delivered the sample. So, hey, can you send me 5 leads matching the criteria as a sample? Yeah, let me send a sample. And then he did. And that was it. And then I hired him immediately. I also sent everyone else basically the same request. And I made 2 hires. Typically when I'm doing lead generation, I'll make 2 hires on Upwork because one of them is going to be better than the other. I think this guy, Usman, delivered 800 leads, which is exactly what we wanted. And then the other guy I hired, who I'm not going to dox right now, also named Muhammad, the second Muhammad, who I'm not going to dox right now. I think he only delivered like 100 leads. And time was of the essence. So I'm glad that I hired 2. That's why we always hire 2 here. And that's how to generate leads on Upwork. So what you'll typically do once you get your lead list is, let me just show you what Muhammad came up with for us. What you'll typically do when you get your lead list is, so he found not 800, he found 618 for 25 bucks, which that's why, tell me you don't love Upwork for these kind of prices. It's beautiful. I would hate to work on Upwork. It's not the best working situation, but it's very good for fulfillment. So now I just have this list of product hunters. Anywhere there's an email, we're good to go. So all I have to do is go to this sheet, click or hit Command A on my Mac, Control A on your Windows, create a filter. And now I can click this button. I can just filter out all the blanks. And now here we go. You know, these are only ones with email addresses here. Except for one. I saw one little bit of data. I'm not going to catch it again. I saw an NA in there. But yeah, that's how you do that here. Easy to do, cheap and easy to do, which I really love. And then of course, yeah, those would be run through Never Bounce before sending to lower our bounce rate, to make sure we're not getting bounced. So that's how you do those. Agency owners, I would find on Lead Shark. So I'm going to mark it. Lead Shark's going to be like a gray color like that. Good. By the way, I'll remind you that we're doing that Lead Shark deal for line customers. Go.leadshark.com/line. You can get your 400 leads for only $9 here. So this is my gift to you. Normally these are 50 cents each. So that's 400 leads divided by 0.5. It's about that $200 worth of leads for only $9. That's a heck of a deal. Heck of a deal because I'm friends with Hans. This is why I do it. I do it for you, Hans. So the gray would be for Lead Shark. There we go. E-commerce brands would be better on Upwork. Agency owners would be better on Lead Shark. Course creators, you could actually use either one. So job title, what I'll normally do is search something like I help, or just the word help, because it's like I help people do thing. It's like I help blank do whatever. You can also search course and see what happens. This is one way to do it. I'll show you the other way to do it in a second. So you can see 19,000 people with I help somewhere in their portfolio here. That's good. So just clear these filters. But the other way I would actually do this one is on Upwork as well. So let's actually mark course creators as an Upwork one. Hopefully I can find the right green. There we go. Oh, y'all are going. Okay. Jesse, I love this event. Berman is the best. Heck yeah, dude. Hugh John, do you follow a similar approve with finding alternative contacts of companies you've already contacted? They would need to remove duplicates and wondered if this would be cheaper or more expensive. So all the deduping and data cleaning, I would do internally or hire a separate VA to do that. I wouldn't hire the lead generation VA to do that data cleaning. As a smaller agency, would you still reach out to these 200 employee businesses? Yeah, there's no such thing as smaller agency. It's all inside your head, you know. It's all about client contracts. When I was a single man agency, when I was a single person agency, my first contract was $6,000, and then my second contract was $25,000 a month. Like there's no limit. It doesn't matter how many employees you have. You can just do whatever you want. And that's why I would recommend big companies. I would never work with a small company again if I had the choice. Last time I worked with a small company, I was doing email marketing for it was a firm that did cleaning services, and he paid me $50 to write one email for him. I sent the email out. He told me he made $10,000 for it and fired me. He didn't want me to send another one. He didn't like the animations or whatever. He didn't like the design of the email. So I'll never work with a small business again.
That is good to keep in mind. Then, so we do have a bunch of comments coming in. So do you, because I'm not on the same stream as you, do I interrupt you? Do you check them yourself? What do you prefer, or do we all answer?
Oh, I can read them out. It's fine. I'm good. Yeah. Okay.
And just so the question you already answered was from Ignacio. So the smaller agency, would you reach out to 200 plus? Most definitely. And then the question here from you, and well, it's a bit of a big read. Do you follow a similar approach with finding all the contacts of companies? That was the question from you.
Yeah, if it's cool, I can just blast through them. It's fine.
Sure.
You don't have to read them out. That's okay.
And then Kyle said the hype is real. Do you agree, Alex?
I agree. Hype is real.
Good.
All right. So let's continue on then. Back into the screen share. What else we got? Hype is real. The event's the best. Berman is the best. Special thanks to the team at Line. They're incredible. I've been converting tons of stuff with their product. We use it for our cold email sequences. I'm glad to hear that. Hans, me and you, man, we're going to make a deal soon. Kyle, the hype is real. Love it. So that's what I'm using for course creators. I would probably use Upwork for that. Medical, you actually can use LeadShark for. We have a medical device and medical practice spot. So you can search in there and you can find people in the medical industry. You guys were looking for a ton of stuff. One person just said medical leads. Another said dentists, med spas, healthcare, chiropractors, cannabis. So if you want just general medical, there you are. If you want any of this other stuff, I would look at job title and you can search exactly what you're looking for. So chiropractor, and you can just hit search and you can see as that's going through that there are right now 332 chiros right here. And we're working to expand the database right now. But this is good enough for a cold email test. You can actually just download all of our chiropractors right now if you wanted. So medical leads, you could look at LeadShark, or you could look at Upwork. I would do either one. So this one, you could do LeadShark or Upwork. And then B2B, this is actually where LeadShark's the best at. All you'd have to do is basically search any sort of B2B industry. This is what I really like banking, broadcast media, capital markets, even just whatever. You click the industries you're looking for. The reason why I'm saying B2B, typically I wouldn't sell to just B2B. It's not niche enough to build your cold email campaigns. But if you wanted to, you can do it this way. And the reason why I say it's not niche enough is when we're talking about lead generation in 2022, your email being niched down and being relevant is almost as important or even more important than the quality and type of leads that you send to. So I would never, for instance, send the same email to somebody in banking as somebody in computer games, or somebody in banking as somebody in broadcast media. So if I was going to write an email directly for banking, I would talk about, my banking case studies, my stuff in the past. Your case studies actually matter a lot, and your past experience are what allows you to charge a premium price, regardless of what other people have said on the stream. So that's what I would do, is find a specific niche. And the reason why you're able to write emails in a way that gets people to respond is because you're niche down, right? When you're sending to, let's say, just the banking industry, now you can talk about regulation. You can talk about specific acronyms, and you can talk about, customers, for instance, versus when you're talking to an agency, you might talk about clients, or when you're talking to a course creator, you might talk about students, right? Like all of those words change depending on the type of leads that you generate. So when you guys are asking for B2B, that's how I would answer that question. But yeah, for sales directors, for PR, for recruiters, you could use LeadShark and you would just go through, actually job function works as well. For recruiters, you can go to human resources. For sales directors, you can go to, I think we just have sales in here. Yep, you can just go to sales. And then for recruiters, it's the same, human resources. Public relations, I don't know if this is its own thing. Let's see. Public relations. No. So what you do is go to job title search. You could search PR or public relations. And then that would search up. Give that a second. And there's 4,400 leads in the banking industry that are public relations here. So for this one, actually B2B, I would use LeadShark. LeadShark works really well. For real estate. So when you guys talk about real estate, there's a couple different niche types. And I know you said realtors and real estate investors, and this is actually the perfect way to break it down. So realtors, the best way to find those local business leads is actually Google Maps is what I like to use. And so let's say we're doing a cold calling campaign in, let's say, Chicago real estate. All you would have to do is search Chicago real estate. And I would look for the guys or the people that are named after their thing. So like John Graft, Chicago Realtor, you can just click that and there's a phone number for you to sell. And notice I'm talking about phone numbers here for realtors. Certain niches are better to sell via email. Some are better to sell at conferences. Some are better on LinkedIn. Some are better over the phone. Realtors are great over the phone because they're there. A lot of times the owner picks up the phone if you call the right size company. And they're a nice local business you can sell to that way. If you need a realtor, a bigger one, this is local business. If you need a bigger one, then you can go to LeadShark the same way. And I would just go to industry and just search real estate and even commercial real estate. And you could just hit search there and you'll get a ton of leads ready to go right here. Actually 232,000. And I think we're about to add millions more, but that's how I find real estate. That's real estate and real estate investors. Real estate investors, I guess, would be commercial real estate, and then real estate would be regular real estate. If you really want, the other way I would do this is if you really want real estate investors, you would think about what an investor would have in their job title. And for me, when I'm thinking about this, I might think it'd be like family offices, family office or family offices, and I would search based on that. Family offices are like the little hedge funds set up by billionaires. And we have 629 family offices here. Writer family office like this. These guys are all managing billions of dollars in funding. So if I wanted to pitch these guys, this is how I would do it. I just grab them right here on LeadShark. Here, let's grab 100. I don't want to use up all my credits. Part of me is like, I don't want to use up all my credits, even though I can get more. But I want to pitch these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, crazy. I keep double clicking. That's why the error keeps coming up. But then, yeah, you can see the leads are going to be here, ready to go. Beautiful leads, beautiful first name and last name. Hey, Mitchell, love the work you've done. Jordan Park. I run a real estate investing firm, XYZ, whatever. Okay. For software as a service, there's actually, this isn't the Upwork versus LeadShark debate. There's actually a better one for SaaS, and that is, there's actually two. One is Crunchbase, which has Crunchbase Pro, an all-in-one prospecting tool. I actually love this for funded startups. Crunchbase Pro has funding data, and it has emails, and it has basically every B2B SaaS in the world is here on Crunchbase. And I was going to say AngelList as well, but I actually don't think AngelList has the capability that, yeah, okay. So the AngelList thing I was talking about here was AngelList Venture, but that Crunchbase is actually better. I'm just going to recommend Crunchbase. So this is what I would use if you're finding SaaS and you want specifically software companies. If you want blockchain, crypto, AI, you can do that in LeadShark as well by going to job title and going to AI. You can also search blockchain, whatever you need, and you can find people that are using those. The other thing to think about is the related leads to these ones. So for instance, if you're looking for crypto leads specifically, you might say blockchain because that's what everybody says, blockchain/crypto. But what they might have in their profiles is it might say crypto, it might say blockchain, it might say Bitcoin, Ethereum, Web3. Like there's a ton of stuff, and then probably Web3 like that. There's a ton of things that it could include. But if you get those job titles right, you get that stack right, then you're able to find some leads that match the criteria here. Blockchain, contract developer, crypto, fintech, all sorts of stuff there. So I would say for SaaS, you're either going to look at Crunchbase or LeadShark or Upwork. Those real estate, I'll continue on. This is going to be Google Maps or LeadShark. B2B is going to be LeadShark. Just getting back. B2B is going to be LeadShark. Good. And then we've got, I'll get back to you guys got questions? Sorry, am I late? Email warm-up. So this one's about lead generation. Email warm-up, though, is important for your emails. This one's about lead generation. The hype is real. Jesse says pirate flag. Yeah, bro. You know how it is. I don't know if that's, hopefully that's not something weird. All right. So that's there. Small businesses. So CEOs, founders of law firms and plumbers, I would do on Upwork. It's very easy. Similar post that we already talked about. I can show the job post one more time. By the way, I notice not enough people are taking advantage of this special offer. Should I delete this offer? Do you guys not want these leads? Because I can take this down. I can take this down. Line Summit. Lead generation. By the way, these leads, 400 leads for only $9 is at go.leadchuck.com/line. Okay. And I'll have a free download for you guys in a second too. That's what Div is putting together. CEOs, founders of law firms. I would do the same thing on Upwork for you. Same exact thing. You can see we already have 18 proposals here. Yeah, these are all ready to go. They're pitching us, 1,000 leads for $40, 1,000 leads for $30, 1,000 leads for 25, all in here. Beautiful in here. So for law firms, I would say the same thing, except I would change one or two key things in this job post. So I would just say CEOs of law firms in the US law firms are usually smaller, so like 10 to 200 employees. Same exact everything else. Or you could use LeadShark as well. I think you can type law practice, and you can grab them in a couple clicks on LeadShark. These could be your 400 leads. You come into LeadShark, get your 400 leads. You just get one of these or 400 of these 100,000 attorneys that we have in here. And actually, I didn't even know we had that many. LeadShark's actually better. I like LeadShark for these, for legal. Plumbers are going to be better on Upwork. Now, general, this is the other thing that a lot of people have been talking to me about when it comes to generating leads. You guys got questions like, I want to generate leads for companies that are looking for, XYZ software. Like they're looking for, I don't even know what he said. Looking for like lead generation software. I have no idea what he said. But you're looking for like specific software types or software development clients or solar leads. Like you want people that need your thing. And there are tools that promise this kind of thing. I have not, including ZoomInfo does this, where they're like, these guys are tweeting about this thing. They might be interested in whatever. I have found that those are not reliable, and it's actually better instead to do something like this. So like, let's say companies looking for, we'll just give an example, like companies looking for HR software. So now you're gonna have to think. You're like, all right, what companies are looking for HR software? Well, I would say it's probably like companies with at least 200 employees. Where are they based? Probably Western country based with a director of HR, right? So if you look at these, now you have a lead criteria, and you can build a list of 200,000 of these or 1 million of these if you wanted, and that would be, that would help you find these. So you don't actually have to go through the tedious process of like using AI to identify, are people hiring for this role, et cetera, et cetera. You can just find a, a type of person or type of client and do that. Same for software development clients. The way that I think about software development clients are, I would look at your case study. So for instance, if we went to, not domains at Google.com, if we went to like domandtom.com, which is an agency I really like, one of our agency partners. I used to be director of marketing here actually a couple of years ago. What I would do is look at their case studies. So for instance, here they've worked with General Electric. And so welcome to Taplio, my friend. General Electric, GE, Intelligent Platforms. So software development clients, I would look at, let's say, companies like GE. So I would look at General Electric on Google, and I would see, how is this categorized? And the answer is multinational conglomerate, right? What industry is this in? This is the Googling around I would do. It is actually a conglomerate. So maybe that's what you sell to, I guess. I wouldn't do that. But if you wanted to do this, you would search for conglomerates. Or what I would do is, instead of going for conglomerates, I would look at what this actually does. So it's GE Intelligent Platforms, which is Internet of Things. Inside here, GE sales team. There we go. So I would actually look at sales team, sales directors at companies of the size of GE, which is, as we have just identified, 74 billion in revenue, 200,000 employees, right? So 50,000 employees plus. Yep, and that's it. You know, and I would pitch them basically this software. So that's that one. For solar leads, that sounds like B2C. So I do not know how to help you, and I'll just delete that. And then this is the same thing for people that need websites. I would say, one, think of a use case or case study, you know, i.e., I build websites for restaurants to build a list of those types, you know, restaurants in the USA. That's it. Yeah. Owners of restaurants. And then you would, you know, cold email them. I feel like we covered literally everything we could possibly cover. I'm going to pop back out. I'll stop my screen share. What are you guys up to? I do feel like we literally covered every single thing.
Does sound like it, yeah.
How we doing?
I think that was pretty thorough. Yeah, most definitely. You created a live Upwork post, and we got the first people in there. I think we're pretty close to already being able to send the first emails. And I think if you keep going like this, we might sign a first client live on stream.
Yeah, great. Let's make it happen.
Exactly. So one quick question I do want to address. So Brett, he asked if this is being recorded. Yeah, we are recording this, and we will send out the recording to everyone after the event, everyone who opted in. And again, we're expecting that we are experiencing some technical issues, which is why the attendance for now is a little bit lower. So if anyone missed the event, we'll send out the recording to everyone after, so everyone can join. Then Alex, can everyone still get that offer that you mentioned, even if they see the recording end of this week?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I mean, I would love to get like a buy in the next like 2 minutes. This is what I actually want. Oh, we did actually get one. Okay, great. Mike, welcome to Lead Shark. Okay, so yes, because Mike joined, we can now keep this offer up for the length of the summit, and then we'll close it down at the end of the
All
summit.
right. That's good. So that is until the end of the week. So yeah, thanks, Mike, for that. That's definitely appreciated by Mike. And maybe we can make a deal for each other sale that we're getting. We can keep it open for a little bit longer. I think that's a fair deal. Then actually, I have a couple of questions about Lead Shark, and for anyone else who's still watching, just make sure. I mean, you have live access to Alex Berman right now, and as you have seen in the past, what was it, 30-40 minutes, he definitely knows what he's talking about. So for any questions, you drop them in the chat. I have a question: which data points do we get in Lead Shark? Because obviously, I know where to get data, everyone knows where to get data, but we're very much considering switching to Lead Shark for $9 for 400 leads. What kind of data do you give us?
First name, last name, company name, LinkedIn website, job title, phone number if available, email, industry, number of employees, company location, lead location, and if we have it, year founded.
Sounds good. That's good. And then why do we choose Lead Shark? Well, except for obviously the price for the offer. So why do we choose Lead Shark over your usual suspects, your Apollo, you name it?
So the problem with Apollo is you'd think it was so cool because it's unlimited leads. They limit you. They make it really hard to download more than 25 leads at once. Plus, if you do go through there, you download, a crazy amount of leads using scrapers or whatever. Like, Sean, 0 to 10K has this beautiful scraper he made for $50 that'll go through and try to pull 10,000 leads off of Apollo. Once you do that, you still have to pass them through verification. And the fact that you need that, otherwise you'll bounce at 30-40%, just makes me doubt the quality and the age of the leads. I would compare Lead Shark more to someone like a ZoomInfo, where every single one of these leads is verified, all the time. Like, we're reaching out to these people. We're trying to make sure the emails don't bounce. We're building this lead criteria and negotiating contracts that nobody else has. Because I'm sick of these bounced leads, bro. I'm sick of them. And we actually have a guarantee that we're about to spin up, or we maybe have already, where basically if a lead has bounced, we'll just give you another lead. Because I'm sick of it, bro. This is why I'm a cold email guy, and I'm trying to build the tool that is plug and play cold email, where that means clean data, that means data that doesn't bounce, that means relevant contact information, and easy search filters. You can see we had some search filters. We're about to overhaul the search filters as well to just make them even easier for people that are jumping into cold email.
Definitely, that sounds good. Yeah, so the live verification that you showed that went pretty fast as well, which I think is I mean, yeah, I've been in cold email for a while. I absolutely flipping hate jumping between tools here and there. So you have Apollo, and then you go into Never Bounce, you go into this, you go into that. So it definitely is a great solution to have that all in one. So that is great. Then if anyone, well, by the way, Michael, he says, "LOL, you are welcome." So again, Mike, thanks for jumping on that offer and taking one for the team, I suppose. But then again, you get a lot in return for it as well, so that's all good.
Yes. And
Um,
then I also wanted to share with you, we have a free download for everyone. Div has succeeded in its mission to put it together. So if you go to, what is it? email10k.com/lead-generation-doc, you can get this one, which is basically this document we just went through, which shows you a bunch of common lead generation things, and then what tools you can use to find those out. So if you want to go over to email10k.com/lead-generation-doc, then you can get that one.
so let me
I'm
just
going to yell at Div later for making that URL so stupid.
well, actually, I just typed it out, and I think there are no typos in there, so that should be in the chat in just 1
Yeah.
second. So it's not too bad. If I can type it, that means that the URL is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Then let's see, do we have any other questions? Anyone watching? Because I know we have some people tuning in who are potentially starting out their agency, who are looking to get started, sign their first client. Would you recommend they start with LeadShark? Would you recommend they go with Upwork and find manual data? What do you recommend for them? Just because I can see the value of having as much of your tools just well, as I would say, centralized. So you say, hey, we have LeadShark, so you don't need Never Bounce, or like what would you recommend for someone just starting out?
The reason why I would recommend LeadShark for someone starting out is because you can go in there and in a couple clicks you can download leads. The problem with saying, oh, just get a scraper and scrape a list and like do all this stuff, and then maybe you can get a leads and then clean them with Never Bounce and do all this stuff. Like the more steps you add for people to start a business, the less likely they are to do it. So if you can just go on a tool like LeadShark and just hit like 3 buttons, that's what I would recommend doing. If you want to actually do it. I know when it was time for me to start a business, I went to Upwork because LeadShark didn't exist, because even ZoomInfo or Hoovers, I don't even think were doing, neither of these were doing cheap enough things. I didn't even know they existed.
You're a
So I would do
fossil.
Upwork or LeadShark. I would not try to build the lead list manually, because it's just gonna, you don't want to add steps. Like if you're trying to become a runner, you're not gonna make your first goal run 2 miles. You're gonna make your first goal like, put on your shoes and walk out the door. That would be goal 1. So that's what I'd recommend is use something like Upwork or LeadShark to build your first lead list.
Exactly. So keep it as simple as easy as possible. And then for sales teams, because obviously the theme is agency for the sales team. So we have plenty of sales leaders who are tuning in as well, who are selling to, maybe they're selling to the enterprise, maybe they're selling into funded companies, etc. Would you recommend they use LeadShark?
I'd recommend LeadShark because you can talk to our support team. You can get enterprise pricing. So the pricing on LeadShark will go down if you negotiate enterprise deals. Plus, we're there. It's white glove service. We actually care about every client, and we'll consult with you for free, figure out the right criteria for you, and make sure everything's all good.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. All right, that's very much appreciated. Then looks like no one else has any questions, or no one else wants to have any enterprise offers that they want to jump on. So that means that you and I, well, we're done for today, but we definitely have more to discuss later. So then I'll give people just a few more seconds to maybe jump on any questions, to drop those in the comments, and otherwise we'll take a quick break because we're waiting for Tom from Rev Genius. He will be our next speaker, and I will introduce him in just 1 second. And then seems no one else has a question for Alex. So Alex, thank you very much. Has been a great pleasure hosting you today and seeing you generate a bunch of leads live on stream, which was an interesting experience. And then Mike says, thank you, great info.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
yeah, I can only echo that. I can definitely agree. And seems like you made a fan in Michael today.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me, Hans.
Definitely. All right. Then we'll take a quick break for now, but definitely stick around because it will be a 5 to maybe 10 minute break before Tom will join us. And let me just give Alex his break there. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and Tom from Rev Genius will join us. So if you already want to have a bit of info on who Rev Genius are and what they do, just make sure that you head over to revgenius.com. That is RAV. So let me just drop that in here, revgenius.com. And that's where you can learn more about what is they do, but obviously Tom will talk about what is they do as well. Then later this week we have 3 more days, three more events called Email Summit Days with speakers from Mailshake, from Expandy. So definitely stick around there. And for anyone who tuned in later and who is wondering, yes, we will most definitely be sending out recordings as well. So if you missed any of the Alex Berman talk, or if you missed any of Deepak's talk, which was the first talk of our summit, then make sure that you opt in on summit.line.ai, because anyone who's on the list, they will receive all the recordings from each and every day. So make sure you tune in there. Then we will take a quick break, 5 minutes, and then we will be back with Tom from Rev Genius. Hey everyone, we are back, and you know what that means? That means that Tom has joined us. Tom is with us, and I will be adding to the stream in just 1 second. For anyone who is tuning in a bit later, Tom, he is at revgenius.com, but he definitely has a background that goes way further, way deeper on that, and he will talk about that in just a second. And the cool part about this talk is that it's what we call a secret playbook. So when we started setting up the cold email summit, we want to make sure that everyone they didn't just get the information, like a theoretical information, but everyone could really see what works today, and how you can actually take what you learn here, you can apply it the same day pretty much and generate more leads. And that's why we invited Tom, because he was definitely the right guy to talk about that. And well, I can keep talking, but I will give Tom the chance to do just that. Tom, you are on stream, and I can already hear you, and I assume
Hey,
you can hear me.
yes. How are we doing, everyone?
I think we are good. So I was trying to announce you again on LinkedIn, but my LinkedIn has been acting up today, which is also why, unfortunately, we don't have millions and millions of people tuning in. But I'll try and do that once you are talking. I will talk. I will let the audience know that you are live on YouTube for now, which is definitely great as well. And well, thanks for joining us. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about who you are, what it is you do, why you're joining us today, what it is you do at Rev Genius, and why you are the mentor to listen to about cold email.
Hey. Yeah, so I've been in outbound sales for about 15 years myself. Sold all kinds of industries, SMB, mid-market, enterprise. The last few years, been helping companies build out their sales development teams. So I did that for 2 companies and a couple clients. And 2 years ago, I found my passion in community, and that's how I jumped on board with Rev Genius, a community of 25,000, helping people scale their B2B, right? Supporting and building that community together. And I've been a community manager, and now I'm program director there. So I work on all the programs that we deliver, run a premium community known as Rev League that helps SDRs and AEs book 25% more meetings, Hans, right? Like show them the practicality, the things you can't learn on LinkedIn, right? How to apply the things you're learning and find your voice in the process. So today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about what I've been seeing, what's been working, all the games around, how you need to be looking at your email, especially your cold email game. So really excited to jump in here today and bring that to the group. And I've emailed, gosh, I don't even know how many emails I've sent, Hans. Like it's outrageous. In 15 years, that's all I've done. And I'm excited to share, the knowledge with the group today.
Exactly. No, that sounds great, and I think I mean that's super exciting, and I think I cannot really think of anyone who would be a better fit to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. It's what you do for a living. You teach people how to book more meetings, and that's what this summit is all about. And by the way, same goes for me. I've lost count as well by how many emails I've sent. So yeah, let's not get into those numbers. But so what I'll do, I'll just I'll let you get into it. I'll be here in the background. So if you have any issue with sharing your screen, anything else, then just give me a shout, because I'll be listening in the background. And then yeah,
Awesome.
the stage is yours, as they say.
Awesome. About 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, 30 minutes exactly. But then again, if you have more info to share, then please feel free to. And then if anyone has any questions, then they can just they can drop them in the comments.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. Let's go ahead and share screen here. All right. Oh boy. All right. Can everybody see? Let's double check here. All right, everybody. Perfect. We are live. We are here. I am so pumped to talk to you all about the cold email playbook, give you a little insight on what I'm seeing in the trenches, give you some practical things to take back to the lab and implement in your process to hopefully improve those email positive reply rates. As Hans went through, right, a little bit of an intro on who I am. I've been helping organizations build and scale sales development teams. I've been in the outbound trenches for about 15 years. And in the past 2 years, I've really helped countless reps build really strong relationships with their prospects, drive human conversations, and exceed their goals. The teams that I have ran have produced over 20 million in pipeline and revenue, booked over about 7,500 appointments in those two teams. And me personally, like Hans and I were talking about some of those numbers, I've booked over 400,000, or I've made over 400,000 cold calls, booked over 4,000 appointments, and I've driven about 7 million in revenue myself. So coming to you and talking about email, I am the cold call guru, as they say. But ultimately, I do cold email as well. And I've found some things that have really helped, impact those rates to get those replies. And I'm really excited to share those with you throughout this presentation. The first thing I want to jump into when you're looking at your emails, my opinion is subject lines matter more than anything. And the reason I say that is because that's the first thing your prospects see. It is where the battle of inches are won. And if you truly can't nail this part, then you risk your prospect ever seeing the value that you bring altogether, right? Because if they're categorizing, you look in your email box, you're categorizing, you see how Gmail shows it, right? It's 2022 email, they're on the go. We get our emails everywhere we are. But what we're doing is we're looking at those subject lines and we're categorizing what's going on in our inbox. And so if you're not captivating them in that subject line, doesn't matter how much you wrote that email, they're never going to see it, right? They're never going to see you and have that value that makes sense. So you want to aim for 3 to 4 words max in your subject line. You want to make it all about them. Nothing about you. You want to make it something that entices them and piques their interest. And honestly, you want to be very creative and fun. It is okay to have a fun, catchy subject line that makes sense for them. The best cold email subject lines I'm seeing in the space with all the SDRs that I'm working with that are coming by email office hours every couple of weeks with us is most of the time they either ask questions, they address a pain point, they provide value, they generate curiosity. Numbers, including numbers, is big. People do enjoy that. I'll show you a couple examples of one of my best performing subject lines. The other one is generate FOMO, fear of missing out. Everybody has that feeling, right? If you feel like you're missing something, if that subject line is, hey, Tom, don't miss out on this. Hey, Tom, did you get a chance to check this before it's too late? A little bit longer subject lines, but it's piquing that curiosity and that fear of missing out. Only have 5 left, grab yours. Something that makes me realize like, hey, what is this, right? Piques my interest. I might want to grab a copy of it. And then social proof. Maybe putting in another company name, put in their competitor. You know how many times I'll stop and look at something if I see an email that's mentioning a competitor, competitive community, anything that's out there in my space. When I was in the SEO space, if I saw something from a competitor, those things will captivate your reader's attention. So subject lines are very, very important. There are a lot of great tools, subjectemailgrader.com. Check out Try Lavender. They do a really good job at emphasizing the data behind your subject line. There are a lot of other great tools. You can literally jump on Google, do some subject line graders, and just check to see that you're hitting a nail on the head. But again, the biggest thing is keep it short and make it about them. Couple examples that I have seen work really, really well. The number one that gets pushed around more often than not that really did revolutionize my team's outreach in 2020 was their company plus your company. Make it look like a partnership. They can see their company first. Do not put your name first. Put theirs first, brackets in between, and then their company. Very simple subject line, shows them the two, and then you can do that. Another one is their company with an open-ended greater than sign and their competitor. Another great subject line to be working with because it captivates them, right? Greater than. You can even throw the competitor in the other side, get their interest because they're going to see their name with their competitor. So any of those two variations with their competitor or with yourself. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, the number one subject line that performed the best for me with around a 94% open rate was name 26 seconds or less. Now, what this means and why this one works so well is you've got numbers in it. But what I do is I actually use Lavender. And before I had Lavender, I would time my email. And so I would read it. out loud or read it as if I was reading it. As, I'd send the email to myself, open it up, hit my timer, and I would read the email and see how long it took me to read. Lavender now does that, so you can check them out. They have a read timer, so you can look at it while you're writing the email. Put those seconds in the email. Tom, 26 seconds or less. And then the opener line is, yes, I timed it. Should take you no less than 26 seconds to read this email. Let me explain what I'm reaching out for. This gives them an idea of what to expect. It's going to take you 26 seconds or less to check out this email. So you want to do that. Another one, name 3 ideas for you. You're giving them something. Does this sound right, Tom? Pique that curiosity. Does this sound right? Might make me be like, what sound right? You could flip the name from the end or the beginning, doesn't matter, but just pique that curiosity. Does this sound right? Am I on the right track? Is another great subject line. Am I on the right track here? Any thoughts here? Most people bash on the thoughts email, but I'll tell you, from the space and the people that are in the trenches, they will differ with you. They will tell you that the thoughts email is still a #1 performing email for them. There's some ways to play with that term, but it still does work. Outcome, how easy to achieve. You can play in there. Questions about a problem you're solving. Where are you at so far with your brand management? ? Name, how close are you? How close am I to what? It piques my interest to maybe open that up. It says my name. And again, can you see most of these have their name in it? You want to personalize in a way that shows them that this email is for them. You want to present it that it's specifically written to them. So when I see emails that say Tom and then something behind it, it catches my attention because as I'm categorizing my inbox, anything that has my name instantly catches my attention. So something to look at there as well. So these are a couple subject lines for you to experiment with. I just wanted to tackle this, and part of the first playbook is that you got to get your subject line right. You got to make sure that curiosity gap is filled, like Jesse just mentioned, right? Fulfill that. People are naturally curious human beings. Pique their interest in some capacity and get them to open up that email so that they can see all the value that you're about to drop within there. Second, when you are going out and emailing, know your audience. Many of you have seen on LinkedIn, you've seen it in your networks, you're talking with your friends, your coworkers. The #1 missed thing when you're going out and cold emailing is not knowing your damn audience. You're sitting there not researching. There's this battle and this debate of research or no research. It takes way too much time. It doesn't take enough. Know your audience even a little bit. The #1 thing you could do is show me you know me. When you're emailing and putting your body and your value in there, just show me that you know what I'm going through or what my challenges might be. You see way too many emails go out where they're not verifying that my position is even correct anymore. They're emailing me about a position I had 3 years ago because their data is out of date. They're emailing me about accounting and things that don't even register with me because they're not doing their research. They just see a name on a list and they're shooting out a blank email to hope that for the best it will show up for them. So demonstrate that you've done your research by showing the prospect what you've learned about them. That would be difficult, if not impossible, to automate. Just those first opener lines. The other part, and a quick tidbit here, a little tack, spill the tea. Most SDRs and most people going to market right now are using LinkedIn and social selling, and the first line they're putting in their emails is, "Hey, I saw your post." Right? Everybody's doing it. Everybody can raise their hand here. Probably have done it a few times in their email. "Hey, I saw your post. Loved what you had to say." I'm going to give you a secret. Stop doing that because everybody's going that direction. Try looking at all their activity on their LinkedIn or their profiles. Go look at other places and try to find a comment or something they engaged with somewhere else that wasn't actually created by them, but they engaged with another connection of yours. Again, mutual intro. Show me you know me. "Hey, I saw your comment on Jesse's post. Really enjoy, following him, his content. See you do as well. Wanted to reach out and see how you're doing with your email deliverability." Right? If it's relatable and you can build that and use that all activity tab and kind of go into their other engagement, you can be different and you can show them you know them because you're following them on LinkedIn and other places versus just clicking that post tab and saying, "Oh, I saw you posted yesterday about this." Because guess what? I open my inbox every couple days. I have 5 or 6 of those sitting in my inbox from 6 different SDRs all saying the same thing. So just go left when everybody else is going right. Check out that all activity page. Other part, insight on what I'm facing. Prove your domain expertise by illuminating a common roadblock you've discovered by working with people similar to this prospect. And what I mean by that is you're going to market talking to thousands of your ICP every couple of weeks. You're the expert. You're talking to these people. I am a program director at RevGenius. I'm my own world. I am doing my own things internally with my own little network. But let's say you were going after other program directors. You talk to them every day. So what are they talking about? Maybe it's not even on my radar. Maybe you talk to 3 program directors this week that have said that all of a sudden recently they've ran into this problem. You jump on the phone with me, or you're trying to send me a quick cold email. Tell me about it. Hey, I was talking with so-and-so and so-and-so, and they said that they're running into this. Has this come up for you yet? Would love to discuss it with you. Show me that you get me and that you know what I'm going through. Don't come out of left field with some random challenge that you don't even know I'm experiencing. Give me something I can use today. When you are emailing, it's not about you. It is about your prospect. You are there to serve them, and you are trying to generate interest and a discussion. The best way to do that is give something to them in a way that they can implement today, whether they work with you or not. Some type of tip, strategy that you know won't break your bank, won't hurt you getting a longer deal with them in the future, but is a quick win for them. I do this all the time when I'm cold emailing directors for RevLead. I will give them a quick guide on how to improve their cold calling for their team. 5 tips. And I'll say, hey, may I send this over to you? I would love to share with you these tips on how to improve your cold calling with the team. They grab that. That's an instant win for them because they can interact, bring those 5 tips in today. Their team might already get a quick win. Now what happens is I've earned their trust and their credibility, and I can continue to chat with them. They'll come back for more or be interested to see my emails because I provided something without an agenda, without a request, and I gave them something to use today. So if you have a tip in your back pocket that you know would be beneficial to your network, give it out, right? Give them a taste of what you can offer, prove that expertise with them, and get them to invite you back for more. And lastly, ask what I can do for you. Request agreement to a low risk ask, like agreeing that what you're writing about them is a priority, or permission to send them a piece of content. And I'm going to get into that here in another second, but you got to stop asking for a meeting. Maybe ask, the whole point of cold email is to get your prospect to just hit the reply button. That should be your goal every day when you are outreaching cold. Just open a conversation. You do not need to be pitch slapping them and throwing it down their throat to automatically pick their brain for 30 minutes because this is the first email you've ever sent somebody. You cannot just walk up and drop into their inbox and put that burden on them and expect them to give you 30 minutes when unfortunately you might have to add another email to that sequence. You might have to add an extra 2 to get to that point. So your first 2 emails might not even be asking for a meeting. It's a really low risk ask just to get them to hit that reply button. Because again, you're trying to get that engagement and get your foot in that door. And it just starts with getting that reply. So a low risk ask, like, may I send you over this document? Don't force it on them. Don't have your first email have a PDF attached to it that nobody asked for. I didn't ask you to send me that. Like, I appreciate you assuming that or dropping it in my inbox, but I don't even know what that is. Where instead you could present it, hey, I got a great gift for you today. Implement this in your process. And secondly, may I send you over this 5-tip document that'll show you some other insights. Now, guess what? That person has to hit the reply button and say yes in order for me to deliver. Because what we're going to talk about here in a minute is a big pain in the trenches right now, which is email deliverability. So the more replies you can get in your inbox and the warmer you can get your emails, the better. So you need to be getting more replies. If you are not getting enough replies in your emails, you are only hindering yourself and hurting yourself because it's going to hurt your scores when you're out emailing, and you'll continue to end in spam because you're not getting anybody to talk to you. So again, low risk ask, just asking if this is a priority for them, something simple to get that reply rate back from them. Next, personalization. What am I seeing in the trenches where people are really focusing on saving time on that personalization? Because we've all been hearing this constant battle of personalization versus not. How do we do it? How do we scale it? Too many leaders don't want to encourage their teams to do so because gosh forbid, we got to maximize the 6 hours we have you in the trenches doing everything possible. When in reality, personalization can make your job a lot easier and take a lot less friction off the prospect with you. So how do you do that? focus on factors impacting your personalization. A few examples would be market size, deal size. We teach often to SDRs to prioritize their outreach. You guys have a very limited amount of space to go out and reach out to people, and you need to maximize that. So bucket your tiers. What are your named accounts? Go through and bucket all of your named accounts, the biggest fish you can go for, have them in one bucket that you can pull. Then have another tier and another tier that gets lesser in value as you go, but they're focused on market size, maybe each market that you can go through. So you know who to really personalize and who some you could potentially automate, right? And get through at a higher level because they're very low grade. If they get back to you, they get back to you, but they're not gonna, stop you from going to market. Deal size, maybe you can evaluate what certain deals are gonna come through on certain accounts, prioritize by that. So you can, make sure your personalization is going to the right places. Because a lot of you might find yourself in the trenches during the day trying to spin up every email into personalization. And let's be honest, not all of them require it. There are some ways to automate that outreach on various levels of your buying center. And on the important ones, you're doing that extra step of personalization. Second piece, they're setting time limitations for personalization. Some of the best SDRs I'm watching right now and some of the founders that I'm seeing are really setting time limitations, and they're setting limits on what they're doing each week in their personalization. So that might be 25 per day that they want to write very structured, personalized emails to their named accounts again, right? They're tiering it out. They might be looking at how many they want to do per week. So they're saying, I want to get out 100 personalized emails a week, get a really good sample size to be able to compare the data to the ones that I'm automating and see if there's any difference, right? You want to A/B test in your cold email always. If you do not have a tool that allows you to A/B test, I would highly recommend investing in one. You want to be able to A/B test subject lines, content, different call to actions. It's all about experimenting in cold email. And the best way is to get that sample size and figure out how you're going to personalize and put those time limitations. Because as we know, you'll get crippled. You'll sit and spend hours on one email just to end up going to spam. And nobody wants that. So got to set blockers. Sometimes I do a formula known as 3x3 research. I try to find 3 pieces of information in under 3 minutes. And then I put that together in my email. What's my opening line going to be? I'm checking their all activity. I'm checking what they're doing on social, maybe checking their company website. And I'm going through that process. So in 3 minutes, I can find some info to put into that email to, again, warm up my inbox, show I'm trying to be as personal as possible to impact my deliverability and make sure that prospect feels seen and heard and will ultimately respond to my email. Other thing, set goals on your personalization. Do you even have enough to personalize? What are your goals to get to meetings per month? How many contactable leads do you have? Do you even have enough? There are a lot of markets and a lot of SDRs that I work with that they don't have a big plethora of SaaS services like most people do. They're at, one account is all they got for an entire 90 days. They might only have 500 accounts to work the whole year because their market is so niche. So they have to focus on personalization. They cannot just automate their emails. They have a very small sample size and a very small amount of contactable leads, where others might have a plethora of accounts. Most of my SDRs in the enterprise space were running with about 3,000 accounts each. So we had a little bit of opportunity to prioritize where that outreach was going, looking at who we were going to personalize with. And again, that's why you got to focus on your factors that you can tier out, market size, deal size, because if you got 3,000 accounts, you don't need to reach out to all of them. Just find your best and scale out from there. Last, what I'm seeing to help you when you're going out and writing your cold emails is be different. Don't underestimate the power of creating writing. What I am seeing is some of the craziest things I've ever seen in the SDR space. Years ago, it was just blanket cookie cutter templates. Now what we're seeing is a lot of people being different. They are doing, again, more you versus I statements in their emails. They're leveraging media. If you're not leveraging media, throw in some GIFs, throw in some memes with your target market. Most of them will be acceptable and appreciate a good, funny laugh. If the meme, again, is relevant, make it relevant. Don't put a meme or a GIF that doesn't make sense, or, oh, you haven't got back to me, don't ghost me. And you got some, silly face. Know your audience, know who you're reaching out to, but people love a visual. That's how they're sold. You can, a lot of the experts in the space use Venn diagrams. They're making memes. You saw, what happened at the Oscars that went, skyrocketed for a few weeks. People were using that in their email outreach, but leveraging those media pieces like GIFs and memes will help you be creative and different. Reevaluate your value props. Make sure that those value props are about them. Be different. Everybody has the same value prop. You give me a personalization line in the first spot. You have a good call to action, but that middle part is, we at so-and-so do this. We would love to help you do this. Everybody's doing the same value props. Try to find a way to make yours about your prospect, very specific and of true value versus just a cookie cutter statement. You want to reevaluate those, be different in the market, find a way to spin it up to where it's not looking like everybody else's. Alleviate your prospect's pain or give them something they want. Again, try to be that hero. Let them be the hero of their own story. Find a way to alleviate their pain in your emails and in your creative writing. Don't come in cold with an ask. Again, not everything has to be an ask. You don't need to be asking for a meeting every time. Don't come in cold like that. Earn your right. Get more permission based in your emails. Ask before you do anything. Get that reply. Get them to click that reply button, right? Hey, can I send this to you? May I? Have you taken a look at this? Do you mind if I share it with you? Don't just send it over cold because, again, that's going to hurt your email deliverability as well. If you're attaching a ton of media, links, and all of that, and you haven't made a connection with that prospect, you're going to most likely just end up in spam. So make sure you're asking permission so you get that reply. So that way, when you respond with that PDF, your email server might then push you right through because there has been exchange between you and the prospect and put you in a position to get that deliverability there. Leverage social content differently. We talked about it a few slides ago. Jump into their all activity. Try using social in a different way that others aren't looking at. Be appreciative and a little vulnerable. It's okay to not write such a formal email and be so perfect. Be you. Be a homie. That's how I say it. Just be human with people. It's another person on the other end of that email. Try to be different. Just be normal with them. Tell them what you're looking to do. And again, if you're doing your research, you're trying to be relevant, you can be able to make that connection with them. Another thing, consume as many sales emails as you can. Look at what your competitors are sending out. Look at what your peers are sending out. Go to your network and ask some people to share a couple emails that they're sending out. Build off of that creativity. See all the directions they're going and find your path going left. Or if you see ones that are working, try to encompass it into your own email sequences. But try to consume all those emails that are hitting your own inbox. Use those as leverage. Use those as education for yourself to see what others are doing, what you're not doing, what you could add. If you see a cool CTA from somebody else's email that caught your attention, again, you are on the other end of these emails just as much as you are sending them. So use that for your benefit. Deliver value slowly over time. One thing you could do to be different right now, send more emails and take time to build a relationship. Way too many are going to market to ask for meeting. You don't need to. Build a relationship, give value, have a discussion, and find out when the appropriate time would be to come in for the kill a little bit later. Send that extra email. It's okay. And lastly, leverage video. Jump in, drop some videos into your email. Use that as a third to fifth touch once you warmed them up and maybe you've got a reply. Shoot back a great video follow-up. Hey, really enjoyed talking to you last week. Wanted to see what your thoughts were on that PDF. Drop me a note. Would love to chat. Just wanted to say hey. And now you've got a good video. They get captivated. You can build off of that, but throw video in there. Be different. Just remember when you're going to market in your cold email, don't be like everybody else. Try to find some ways to represent you and your company well, and try to work with the prospect as much as possible to drive that value over time. Maximize your email deliverability. Huge opportunity here. It's not being talked enough about by the leadership and the SDR managers and the people that are at the top in your companies, or you as a founder might not even be noticing this, but email deliverability is at an all-time high. In my networks and the groups that I associate with, it is talked about every day because now we're seeing more than ever, 80% of emails are not even getting to their prospects. So you might be 15 touches in with somebody and realize that they haven't even seen your email once. That's when you pick up the phone, right? But cold emails are undoubtedly one of the most powerful lead generating channels, right? You can use them, people use it. It is a great channel to create conversation and interest. However, you can only get your cold emails to reach your inbox if you can deliver those to their inbox. So a couple tips on what you can be doing right now. Build a quality prospect list. We know that. Verify that information, build out and find the data tool to confirm that email for you. Do your research before you just blast out 100 emails. Make sure that those emails are legit and reduce as many bounce backs as you can. Because if you continue to send a lot of emails and get these bounce backs, you're going to find out yourself right in that spam box more often than not. So make sure that you're getting very accurate email addresses. Pick up a phone, verify with the person at the company. Make sure you're getting that information crisp because it is going to affect your email deliverability over time. Start slow with your campaigns. If you're starting to look to launch out your campaigns with your team, you're brand new, you're a founder going to market, start slow. Warm up those emails. Buy a few different domain names for your company and start slow. Start with 50. Move your way to 85 to 100 the following week, 150 to 250 and 380, right? You want to take time to build that box up and work on those reply rates because it will hurt you if you do not put your best foot forward right out the gate. Do not just fire up an email address today and send 1,000 emails. You're going to get in trouble. It's not going to deliver well, so take your time. Again, motivate those replies. The best thing you can do for your availability, your email deliverability, have discussions in your email. Have that dialogue. Get as many replies as you can out of your outreach. That should be your goal every day. Get those replies, get people talking with you, and let them know that your domain is clean and you're having interactions with prospects. Remove links. Again, be more permission-based, right? Ask permission for those attachments. May I send that over to you? Because if you just start emailing an entire list, a PDF, and you're putting in all these links or a website link, you're going to bounce. So you want to make sure you're asking permission to send those things over. Lastly, try to make the content of your email sound as personal as possible. Again, it's checking those things. So make sure you can add in a couple little pieces that make it as personal as possible to help that warm connection between you and the prospect. Call to actions. It should ask the other person to do something that moves the deal forward. So what's important is that they do something to stay engaged, as Sales Hacker tells us. Stop asking for the meeting. In your call to action, it doesn't have to be a meeting. Your goal should be to get your prospect to hit that reply button, ask permission to share something of value, ask a simple or yes or no question. Just get them to say, like I said, may I send you over this PDF that does X, Y, and Z for you? I thought it could be of some value. I have to hit reply if I want that and say yes. Reiterate your value proposition at the end. Bring that in to close it out and ask something around that. Does this align with what you're looking to do next in Q3? And then ask open-ended questions. Just get that reply button hit in your call to action and stop asking for a meeting. You don't need to ask for a meeting every 5 minutes. Earn that value, earn that right, and close with a strong call to action. If you know someone is very busy, occupied, focused, and on other things, the best way to get a chance at a piece of their time is with a very short email, not a very long one. I understand the tendency to go into detail, but it works against you. Think about the receiver. This is a powerful quote from Jason Fried that I wanted to share with you, that just as you're writing your emails, remember this. Don't word vomit. You don't only have one shot at talking with this person. Build value over time and write short emails. Make it conversational. It is okay to be patient. You don't have to get it all swooped into one email. Break it up over chunks and have a discussion. It will go longer for you and be more successful. So ultimately, less is more. Email responses increased by 42% when the body of your email is kept under 200 words. You'll know from Will and some of the others in the space and the others that are going to be speaking here today, most of them will tell you short email is the way to go. Make it conversational. You don't need these long-winded emails because as soon as somebody opens that, it's going to the trash. Stop. Slice it down. Be clear, direct, be a homie, and deliver an email that helps your prospect at the end of the day. That's it. That's what my little playbook is to help you as you're going out to the market today. I want to thank you for your time. Quick little session for you. I hope that gives you some takeaways as you're going to start emailing today to just be more human. Keep your subject lines clean, engaging. Make sure your email delivery is doing well. Here are a few websites. I'm with Rev Genius. You can check out our site there. Come join our community. It is free. My LinkedIn is my channel of choice. Always hit me there. I'm a DM away for anybody. And then my Linktree has all my other featured content, all the things that you can find about me. But it was a pleasure talking with you all, and I hope this was very helpful.
Definitely. I very much appreciate that, Tom. And let me just make sure that people can see our beautiful faces to help with that. So,
Hey.
I mean, yes, so definitely some great insights. Also, Dave agrees with that. Andrew as well. There was some great insights. So, before I get into my questions, because that's one of the perks that comes with being the host, I get to ask my questions first. Is if anyone has any questions for Tom based on the playbook, based on things that he's been speaking about, based on his experience in Rev Genius, anything, make sure you drop those in the comments now, and on we can get to those in just a second. But I mean, I think that was as on point as it gets, pretty much. I think you really absolutely nailed that, so that's great. And yeah, that's I think, and to me, that was the most important point that I took away from this, is that you are in the trenches every single day. You are talking with SDRs, with sales leaders. You're talking with both sides every single day, so you know exactly what's going on, what works and what doesn't work, and that's how you're able to make sure that you stay relevant, pretty much, which was my biggest takeaway. So I think one really good point that you made there is to just read every single sales email that you get. Now, I know some people, they take a little bit of a more of a gray head approach there, where they set up like some random accounts just to get more, like they set up a random founder account just to get more sales pitches, stuff like that, which I personally don't do, but I've noticed ever since I have founder on my profile, I get more pitches, and I have a special folder in Gmail where I mark every cold email that I get, and I read them every now and then. There are some CTAs I take from there, some things that I learn about, what not to do, obviously. So I think that's a very good point, to just really try and speak with other people in the industry and see what's working and what isn't, which gets me to my very first question. So you mentioned, experiments and some crazy things that you saw working. So is there anything that comes to mind, maybe a super recent experiment that you did that you saw working? Do you have the meme that is working right now that you could share with us? Anything that is top of mind for you right now?
Craziest thing I've seen recently, trying to think.
And it can be that there's nothing there because, like you said, you've seen some crazy things, but then again, it's what people are doing. And I think, crazy things that might be a bit, and people are expecting something really odd, but just.
I've seen some people cold FaceTime. A lot of people are cold FaceTiming now, right? We've had that discussion. People are cold WhatsApp texting people, right? They're using other channels. I've seen a lot, but just the craziest thing is I'm seeing emails get smaller and smaller and shorter and shorter. I'm seeing 5-sentence emails doing real well for an SDR in a manufacturing company right now. Sends an email about five sentences long, and he's getting responses. One of my other reps that I work with, she sends memes and GIFs in her emails all the time. She's really good at creating them. She uses IMG Flip, right? Goes and makes them, finds what's trending. One of the ones I saw is months ago. It's not as recent, but back when the ships got stuck in the canal over internationally, that photo went around, right? With the crane holding up the big boat. She used that in her email sequence for recruiters stopping inbound leads coming in their inbox. Does this feel like you every Monday, right? And it was the crane holding up the ship of like, one more email and I'm going to be overwhelmed. And it got a great response, right? They laughed, they had some humor, and she was getting engagement. So it was just crazy. So, using media has probably been the craziest thing I've been seeing, is people are getting more visual. They're doing like 1-2 sentences and then trying to encompass their message in some type of visual, which saves you time too, because you're trying to write out a really long-winded email to explain your situation. Find out if you can simplify it in a visual. Maybe a Venn diagram, right? Why is Lynn different than all the others, right? And then put Lynn in the middle, and it overlaps with these tools. Shout out to Saad. He did it for Dooley, right? Showing where Dooley encompasses with the other tools. And it was a great visual to be like, oh, you do all of that, right? And it makes it click for people. So that's kind of the crazy things that I've been seeing in the email game is media and a lot more shorter emails. And it's been great to see.
Yeah, exactly. I think those are great points, and I definitely agree there. So I have a bunch more questions, but I'll keep this fair, and I'll go to the comments, and I'll ask my other questions in private. So Ignacio, he is asking, well, he's saying, Tom, thanks for the amazing presentation, which I agree with. And so he asked, so would you recommend creating a sort of document that we can share? Would this work well with the CEO of a brand that has 200 employees? Would they care?
Yeah, so Ignacio, right? It's definitely right. Is you can create a document, something that you can share that is an easy give for your market that won't hurt your bank, right? What would work well with a CEO of a brand that has 200 employees? What would they care, right? That's a great way that you ended it. Would they care? Think about that when you create that document, right? Maybe talk to a few other CEOs that you might have in your network that are friends and get their idea, right? Hey, I created this document. If you had received this, what would have been your thoughts? But yes, create a document that might be worth giving to them. Hey, Mr. CEO, I've seen others that have over 200 employees tend to run into some of these areas. Here's a quick a 5-step guide if you're about to run into this or already are. That's a value to me, right, as a CEO, because you're showing me that you're learning from my peers. And this might be 5 steps for me to incorporate right now that you can earn your trust with me, because I'm gonna be like, oh, these 5 things, right? Payroll, HR, whatever it might be, those pains, you help me solve one of those today quickly without having to interact with you. So that's a win for me. So yes, I would say create a document, create some type of give. And it doesn't have to be a document. It could be a website, a landing page that you can warm up. Hey, may I send you a quick landing page for you to explore, because you want to watch out for your email deliverability of just a cold link. But maybe ask the permission and send them like a quick link that takes them somewhere, like a smart link. Smart links are popping right now. My network talks about them all the time, right? Smart links are good. You can link stuff, track it, and send that over to somebody with some type of visual for them to check out. Hope that helps, Ignacio.
Yeah, definitely great points. And yeah, like it doesn't have to be a document. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is there are a lot of ways to bring value to someone. So everyone always gets stuck, okay, how do I provide value? Well, I think your meme point is already a great one, because if you can make someone laugh, I mean, they're doing business, they're leading a busy life. And if you can make them laugh, I think that's pretty valuable. So just really think about what makes them tick. And if you feel, okay, these CEOs, they would really, appreciate a document, then yeah, by all means create a document, or just show that their industry. So maybe do a case study research around their industry, maybe answer a question that from research that a lot of these people they're struggling with, and you answer that for them by actually interviewing people who would be able to answer that question. There are a lot of ways of going about it, and yeah, I can definitely recommend just doing some research on that, and then just decide, just ask people, hey, what would be valuable for you and what wouldn't be valuable. Then for Neville asks, can you share a template for you use for an email you send? Is that something you would recommend, sharing email templates?
Yeah, so I love email templates. I think I don't use them for like copy and pasting, but I use them for inspiration, right? I do. And then what my template more is a framework than a full written. So I'm going to jump in here and share my screen real quick, Hans, for you. People, feel free to take a screenshot. It's okay. I'm not going to freak out. All right. Can you see this, Hans?
Yeah, everyone should be able to see that.
Okay. It's called the Hero Email. It's what I teach in my curriculum. This is the framework that I go to market with. And again, it was what I talked about in the 4 touch points of show me you know me, insight on what I'm facing, give me something I can use today, and ask what I can do for you. This is what I use, right? The building blocks are on the left. So you'll fill those in, right? Saw your what? Show me you know me again. Saw your job posting, saw your comment, saw your post, saw something that triggered to make sense why I'm reaching out to you. Many times I've heard, right? Maybe talk about what you've heard in the space, insight again on what I'm facing. Many times I've heard other SDR leaders are struggling in getting their positive reply rates up with their team. They're not getting enough responses. Would love to show you a 5-tip guide that you can use to improve your reply rates by a minimum of 5% without having to lose your personalization or time spent per email. May I send that over to you, Hans? That's my framework, right? And I use that to go off of is those 4 buyer views on the right, and then those building blocks in some sense to make that middle part where it's up to you to decide what that would look like. And again, not a cookie cutter template. Not everybody's going to send this out and look the same, because you're going to put in your own pieces here. But that is the template that I tend to use when I go to market and try to build my emails. It's just something around what they call the hero email.
All right. That's great. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll definitely try and take a
And I'll
screenshot
grab
of
that
that
from you.
when the recording's live.
Yeah, and I'll send
will
that
most
over to you
definitely
so you
grab
can
that one.
share it as well.
All right, that sounds good. I appreciate that. Then here, Reveling says that's awesome. You were able to get Tom Slocum on your show. So, you're a bit of a celebrity, Tom. He's at the top of his game. I most definitely agree, and I think we've all seen that. And they are hoping to get you on Whiskey Wednesday one day.
Yeah, love Whiskey Wednesday. Shout out to them. They do that every Wednesday night. Really great LinkedIn live event. And you know how to find me. DM me, and I would happy to join the panel with y'all anytime.
All right, and I love whiskey, so I'll most
Hey,
definitely
you
tune
go.
into Whiskey
Yes,
Wednesday.
we'll share a glass together. Perfect.
Yeah. Is that? I mean, I've honestly, I've never heard of Whiskey Wednesday. Do they actually send whiskey to you as well, so you get to just sip a whiskey?
They're about 3 or 4 weeks in, so hopefully as they build up their audience, maybe they'll create their own line. Maybe they would create their own whiskey to send out. But it is bring your own. Tune in. But they're about 4 weeks in. They've had some great guests so far. It's led by Jesse from Bedex, and then Eddie, the two of them, and they bring on sales and marketing people, and they just talk, right, removing the silos between sales and marketing, and just have discussions together. So it's really great.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I see here in the comments that they're already, trying to work on their whiskey brand, so that's good. And then Neville says thank you. Noah asks or says it would be great to get that template if possible. Yes, so Tom, if you will be able to just send me a screenshot or a doc of that, if you don't mind sharing it, then I will make sure that I will distribute it to everyone who was on our list. So we have a few hundred people, I think almost a few thousand people on our list, but unfortunately we ran into some technical issues today. But then again, we will distribute the recording to all of them. And then for tomorrow, the tech issue should be fixed, and we'll have more people live. And again, we'll send all the recordings to everyone, so everyone should be able to enjoy Tom's talk from today. So that's it. I think unless anyone else has any questions, then please feel free to drop them in the comments. So to give people a bit more time for their questions, I have one final question. Well, two actually, but one is a really simple, short one. My first question is, what do you feel is the main struggle that you're seeing right now? So you're really, you have your finger on the pulse. What do SDRs struggle the most with?
Around email, or just all in all?
Exactly, around cold email, around generating leads from cold email.
Deliverability.
Right?
The biggest complaint that I'm having, is that they're just not getting into inboxes right now. It's a real big pain right now. A lot of people are spinning their wheels right into personalization. They're doing a lot, but their organizations aren't looking at the real problem, which is their SEP or their email server is not where it needs to be. So these poor reps are sending hundreds of emails a week, and they're not getting their results because they're not checking their deliverability. The other part is being different, being creative, right? That is hard. The space is convoluted. There's more products being released in the last 2 years. The market is getting saturated so high. I think some of the email stats that were shared yesterday by David December, you can go look. Him and Will shared a ton, and like billions of emails are being sent every day to inboxes, and it's crazy. And so you got to get really creative. And I'm watching a lot of SDRs right now in my premium community, my peers, try to just get as creative as possible and do everything different than what they're seeing on LinkedIn or what we're all talking about. That's why I love having a pulse on it, because I'm watching all these cool trends, or somebody sharing with us, last week that they found this new way to do this. And you're like, oh, cool, this worked for them. So email deliverability and creativity is the biggest part. And then I think the third is scaling that personalization. How do I do that? If I'm going to lean into this channel and I want to personalize and I want to do the research, how can I scale that at a rate that doesn't hinder me? Because a lot are getting paralyzed by the research. They're getting way too in the rabbit hole, or they're trying to write this perfect email that they're just paralyzing themselves every 5 minutes. And so they'll send out 20 emails in the whole day because it took them that long to get through it versus, their peer that might've sent out 50 to 75. And Lynn, there you go, coming in hot. Scale that
Yeah,
personalization at scale, right?
exactly. Like,
That
that's
personalization.
that is as relevant as it gets. So yeah, that's where I would jump in and say, hey,
Yes.
listen, if you want to scale that personalization, then most definitely check out line.ai. And then for everyone who is, trying to scale it internally, our API is dropping this week, so you can actually build your internal tools
Sweet.
around that, or you can bake that into your Expandy.io, for example, and just make sure that everyone who is using your platform that they can actually scale that for themselves,
Awesome.
and take that burden away from your users. So I think that's great. Then, and Neville has one final question. Would you consider calling a lead that has not yet opened your email? So let's say you send an email and made a LinkedIn connection already, nothing yet, still crickets. Would you consider just following up with a phone call?
I may be at a cold email summit, but Hans knows I am a cold calling champion. I love to pick up the phone, and absolutely, Neville. If at this point you've made the email, you've made the connection on LinkedIn, pick up the phone. Verify that you're even going to the right inbox, right? If there's something missing, then it's great to pick up that phone and say, hey, Neville, it's Tom. Wanted to connect. I've sent you a few emails. Was curious if this is your email address. Yeah, that's it. Oh, okay. Maybe you can find it in your inbox. It's titled this. But why I have you is this a priority for you? And now you got them on the hook, right? And then you can actually probably get your notification that they opened the email right on the call because they're going to find it now. So I highly suggest, Neville, yes, if you've done those steps, pick up that phone. Make sure you're not spinning your wheels. Make sure you're not going to send another 5 emails that are going to go nowhere. Because as we talked about email deliverability, you want those replies. You want that box being engaging. So before you put yourself in any further hole, just pick up the phone real quick, and try that method. See if they're there. Verify that you got their info right, and then try to pitch them on that call and have that discussion, or call around them. Hey, John, I'd call Hans and say, hey, Hans, I've been trying to reach out to Neville. Doesn't look like I've been able to get a hold of her. Is her email this? And just kind of act out of curiosity. Hans is going to straight up like, yeah, that's her. Awesome. Okay, great. Or, oh, no, that's not her email. It's actually Neville blank, and fix it for me. And then I can get back to my email game and make sure my deliverability is on point. So yes, sometimes pick up the phone just to verify. If you're scared of cold calling to make a pitch or to have that, use it as a verifying source so you can get back to the channel that makes it feel good, your email, right? If you want to win at email, look at cold call differently. Use it to seek information, verify stuff, get yourself in the process of doing that, and eventually you'll overcome the reluctance of just having a call in general. And you'll be able to get the 2 channels combined to really improve your success.
And it almost isn't a cold call, isn't it? Because you have that great opener saying, hey, I've been reaching out by email, or hey, we've connected on LinkedIn. I was just curious about this or that. They'll land in your inbox. And it just doesn't feel like a cold call because you already seem to have such a good reason for reaching out. So because I'm not like you, not a great cold calling champion, that for me would just really lower that threshold. And I would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to start calling. So that's great. That is a great tip. So that is very much appreciated. Neville also says, thank you very much, Tom.
Absolutely.
Then I think that's us for today. Then one final question about RevGenius. So for who is RevGenius? Who should check out RevGenius.com? For who is it?
RevGenius is for anyone in the revenue world, right? If you are in marketing, RevOps, customer success, sales, you're a founder, BDR, AE, if you are living in the world of you play a role in generating revenue in your company in some capacity, operationally, RevGenius is for you. Free community. We have 25,000 members, all helping one another scale. Collaborating, sharing insights, chatting within one another. If you have questions, you need a soundboard, great community for you to dive into to get the support of learning some of this stuff, right? You want to know what the best trends are? Ask the group, right? Talk to 25,000 people and find out. And it's a great community to be a part of. And it's free. Jump right in. We live on Slack, and you're happy to get right in.
I think the free part is the most impressive part. Did you say there are 25,000 people on there?
Yep.
That is pretty impressive.
We got about 25,000. I run the program side, like Rev League and some of the things that we're doing on top, which is like our PLG model, right? We've got our paid products that you can dive into, but the community as a whole, right, is all about being homies, supporting one another, giving to each other. There's no self-promotion, no selling. It's just conversation, right? Working with 25,000 people that you can learn about RevOps, you can learn about marketing, and dive in with these people, pick their brains, learn what's going on, and it's a great community.
Exactly. Right. That's very much appreciated. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll see if I can get in as well because I don't think I'm a member yet actually. So that's a
What?
good reminder. Yeah,
Oh, Hans, yes.
it is a crime, isn't it?
Revgenius.com. Revgenius.com. Click that apply now. Just put in your email. Highly suggest your personal, not your work, because you can always move companies. So get that personal so you don't get locked out. And just jump in, introduce yourself, and then, feel free to hang out. It's great. We do webinars, events, just like you're doing here, Hans. Love what you put on today and over the next few days. But we have our conference, end of the year that we do. But yeah, come on by.
Exactly. We'll do. Then yeah, thanks for that, Tom. Then I'll let you go for now. So I'll take you out of the stream, and then I'll tell people a little bit about what else we have planned for the rest of the week.
Awesome.
And then that's it for today. So thanks again, Tom, and have a good one.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
See ya. And now it's just us. So let me share my screen with you just really quick to show everyone what we will be talking about for the rest of the week. So for anyone who doesn't know, at summit.line.ai, you can see the entire schedule for the rest of the week. So tomorrow, the 12th of April, we will be talking about writing emails. So today we went into getting prospects, finding contact data, we went into theory on how to set up a cold email campaign that actually works. But then tomorrow we will actually go into detail. So we will learn from the guys from Lavender, who are seeing many more emails than any of us are seeing every single day. And they know exactly what works and what doesn't. And then later we will talk with Wesleyan, who is a former scientist, recovering scientist, I think is what she calls herself. And she will tell you exactly how to approach cold email like a scientist. So if you want to make sure that that you keep leveling up your cold email game, then make sure to tune in tomorrow as well. Because later, your special guest for tomorrow is Hans Dekker, me, myself, and I will show you how to 3x your follow-up reply rate. So that's it for tomorrow. We will be live again at 10 a.m. and that is Eastern time. That's when we will start our stream, and we will start with Will Allred from the Lavender team, and that's for tomorrow. And that's us for today. So unless anyone has any questions for me, and I can imagine questions coming about recordings, we will send a recording to everyone who registers at summit.line.ai. You will receive a recording. And there's a recording for each and every day. So make sure if you're saying, hey, tomorrow I'm not able to attend, that you opt in there, and then we will send you the recording for every day for you to enjoy, or to make sure that you don't miss anything. So unless we have any final questions, then I will leave you for today, and I will see you back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time.